Like we are in a Faiman versus Leal, very first game of our winners final.
Yeah, you know, Leal, I always feel like this is a player that will take a bit of a break and then just come back and win stuff. And he's so much more dominant than I think a lot of people give him credit for, as he does have a pretty good record against some of the greats like Senior Plant and Tsubaki.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would say Leal, a very underrated player, but you could just see one game, one good best of 3 series from this man, and you could tell there's a lot of high level plays tinkering in his head at all time. And one of those ends up being 𝗂𝗫𝗫𝗀𝗃. But you know, with 𝗂𝗫 getting picked up on the left spot, 𝗂𝗫𝗫𝗀𝗃 won't be getting the buff, so maybe Leal is not thinking about 𝗫𝗫𝗃 this turn. What does he have in mind? Maybe the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴, perhaps?
I love 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴. I also really like 𝗂𝗶𝗴 for this turn. Getting a nice early buff on the 𝗂𝗶𝗴, doing a lot of damage towards that Barnshi on turn 2. But 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 it is, of course, I mean, trapping in that Raiken, get those DVs, is enough to bring it down on its own most of the time. And really, I mean, Faiman doesn't have that many Tems that want to fight a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 anyway. Beyond that Volar end, everybody's going to take quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, we'll see. So it was indeed the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴, and Leal not going with the same 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 as I believe we've seen Tsubaki play. So I'm not too sure if this is a lifeful sap 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴. But as you said, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 feels very strong into a lot of Faiman's squad. So it was a good pickup, and it looks like the pig getting the ban. So no bamboozle today for game 1.
You know, that's a lot of respect too, because Faiman, realistically, other than that Grumper, there's not many solutions to a pig. And at the end of the day, you don't want anyone to take that Fainted Curse either. That damage, even though it was nerfed a little bit when Kisua released, it still can be game-changing.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen Leal maneuver it to perfection, getting that turbo buff onto it and getting some cheeky relaxed plays too, where you just completely disable your opponent from doing anything for an entire turn. And in Temtem, it's so essential to get every little value from each and every turn. So yeah, as you said, a lot of respect earned from the pig. Let's see how Leal plays without it. And hey, one of the Temtems you said looked pretty good here. Sapphire does get recruited, but not feeling all too strong here though.
Yeah, Sapphire's real strength right now, it seems like it would just be taking a Fire Tornado from Drakash or any Quetzaleños out of Koish and Raiken and just pray that it survives long enough to get Extinction off if he's running that technique. I mean, that used to be one of the ways that I would handle some Tems that I maybe can't fight all that well. If a team's not built for firefighting, you just throw a Sapphire out there, click Extinction, it'll do the job eventually.
Yeah, it's a 2-for-1. I mean, sometimes you get your own board, but yeah, Extinction, we haven't seen that from Leal. Might be running it as a cheeky 4th technique. Well, let's see. These guys are already started, so turn number 1. Let's see what goes down.
Yeah, they knew what they wanted to do pretty early. Clicking buttons quickly. Sapphire comes in for that 𝗂𝗫𝗫𝗃. Hypoxia towards this 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 with that high special defense. It's not going to do too much, but combine it with a Quetzaleño, and this might just be a little bit scary. The Lifeful Snap is nice. That means 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 could potentially leave and come back later on, still having that full HP, and now does have DV available as it stayed in for a turn. So that is still a pretty good turn for Leal, I think, even without outputting any damage.
Yeah, I would say the least. As you said, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 can just retreat now. Maybe something like 𝗂𝗫𝗫𝗃, get a good buff onto Sapphire. But that could be risky if Raiken wants to stay in. But here's the mind games, of course, right? 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 could just stay in. I don't believe there's any set of attacks that will be bringing a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 all the way down. So if Raiken stays in on Faiman's side, that is a heavy hitting Dust Vortex coming its way. Does Faiman want to read the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 swapping? Or is it going to be the Raiken leaving for something like maybe the Fire Koish perhaps? Feels okay into something like a Sapphire.
Yeah, Fire Koish would definitely fight back a little bit better. Volar end, I mean, he would be the best one to eat a DV. but it wouldn't really have too much potential afterwards, and unless it's an aerobic bird that could get its speed up pretty quickly. You go for an HKS onto this 𝗏𝗶. But even after, I mean, now this is 2 𝗬𝗍 buffs. It's got Lifeful Sap triggered and still healing. So 𝗏𝗏's feeling very strong right now. The Baton Pass, of course, keeping 𝗬𝗍 safe, and 𝗏𝗏 retreating for max HP later. Vôlorend on Luke Leal's side. Potentially reading a Vôlorend swap on Faiman's side, but no, Faiman just decides to go aggro. Tornado from Barnshi to Vôlorend is 45% damage thanks to that Air Specialist hand fan, and the 𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗺 as well brings Vôlorend down to the red. Just like that, 16% on entry. Luke's got to be sweating a little bit right now. Vôlorend brings a lot of potential when it doesn't die right away.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely sweating only because Faiman did not flinch. The Riken wasn't feeling in a good position with the Dust Vortex staring him down. 𝗬𝗍 buff on the 𝗏𝗏 with that little life regen at the end of the turn. He would have been okay taking those both attacks. Would have got fairly low, but still would have lived enough for a Dust Vortex to connect. And Riken usually takes something like 70-80% from a DV. So that was a good, bold play from Faiman, staying his ground with this Riken and paying off, as you said. Vôlorend coming in and almost having to retreat because it's simply 1 attack away from going down. That's a good amount of tempo sitting on Faiman's side.
Yeah, especially Faiman with the sweatband on Riken means that he can keep on clicking 𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗺 for a little while longer. He's done quite a lot of damage already. 𝗏𝗏, of course, is going to heal himself back up, but Vôlorend's got to go, and there aren't too many other Tems that are happy here. Faiman could always retreat Barnshi for someone like that 𝗃𝗃 or that Firecoish. 𝗃𝗃 it is, just in case 𝗃𝗃 wants to come in and eat 𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗺 from Riken. As of course Luke Leal retreating 𝗬𝗍 for Yowler instead. Says, you know, I've got this really big bulky bear, and he kind of hits back pretty hard, so maybe just maybe. But double swap, the 𝗃𝗃 does come in for Vôlorend, predicting the 𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀 for the prideful Meteor Swarm, wanting to cover both bases. Not going to do really anything at all this turn.
Yeah, not the worst though. Does have the 𝗃𝗃 in for the 𝗃𝗃. You have those heavy hitting mud showers, but at the other side of the same coin, that Ashi Dashi from this Yowler. Staring at 𝗃𝗃, both techniques, they can't one-shot each other, so it's just for trading damage. Does Luke Leal want to show off though instead? Oh, what? Or does this 𝗃𝗃 want to hit 𝗬𝗃 as well? Is it a turn to buff up, or does that lose him a bit too much tempo for Luke?
I'm a little bit worried about Luke Leal's 𝗬𝗍 Yowler. I mean, we saw it do so much just in this last series with him, but facing Faiman's triple fire team, there aren't going to be many opportunities to get that 𝗬𝗍 in there and get some nice buffs, especially now Synergy Master Hellfire did quite a lot to this Yowler. It's down below 50% before it's able to attack. Of course, Extinction, it is the 4th move. Getting it on 2 of the fire attempts is fantastic.
Huge.
For Luke Leal. He just has to survive long enough now, and the Oshidashi with the comebacker is enough to bring 𝗃𝗃 down all on its own.
Wow. Man, what a fantastic turn for the side of Luke Leal. Faiman had so much momentum, looking like he was going to run away with it, but Luke Leal with the simple turn, Extinction, and looks like didn't even need the Extinction because 𝗃𝗃 went all the way down, as you said. Comebacker value, 50% additional damage, way too strong, even without the show off.
I do love the Extinction onto this 𝗃𝗃 though. With Luke Leal's Vôlorend so injured, it's not going to be able to fight that battle. You know, this 𝗃𝗃, all it's got to do is survive a single Noxious Bomb and destroy the Vôlorend in its tracks. Of course, I mean, Faiman would rather get these kills on Riken, so there might be a little bit of a balance in his head of trying to figure out how he can best buff himself up, because definitely Luke Leal still has this 𝗏𝗏. That's something that Faiman has got to be pretty terrified of right now, as it's really going to be down to Barnshi and Vôlorend at this point as soon as this 𝗃𝗃 falls victim.
Yeah, so true. I mean, Vôlorend has a decent matchup against 𝗏𝗏, as 𝗏𝗏 can't really do any damage, so it just has to rely on overexerting the bird. And Raikkonen has the sweatband, so most likely can do the overexertion strategy. Well, let's see. I mean, 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴 isn't completely out of it just yet. He does have Rainbow Guard, which adds a Bamboozle and it adds a Chamomile proc. So Doom gets erased kind of easily. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴 isn't the best to be doomed. Maybe doesn't have to go for it this turn. Could try to go for either 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 or Water Cannon. That's the tricky part, right? Do you want to read the 𝗬𝗎 swapping in for 𝗏𝗏fire? Or does 𝗏𝗏fire want to stay in a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 this 𝗏𝗏𝗺𝗁𝗐?
I'm curious if have we seen Faiman use Rainbow Guard on the 𝗂𝘶? Because we definitely saw Finbeat earlier instead of Rainbow Guard from 𝗬𝗎𝗺cy.
Oh.
And I know that's something that I've been touting quite a bit. And in this particular scenario, Finbeat would not be the better option. But definitely there are a lot of players that prefer to have the priority instead of Rainbow Guard. If that's the case, then this 𝗂𝘶 is definitely doomed, no pun intended. But if he does have Rainbow Guard, that is looking pretty good for Faiman. It would have made Extinction essentially null and void, and 𝗏𝗏fire would have been better off saving it. As you know, of course, we saw 𝗏𝗏𝗺 is air specialist, so that could be doomed. 𝗬𝗏rend, of course, fights back pretty hard against a lot of Luke Leal's Thames, and Yowler not being as healthy as he once was. Definitely could be difficult. You know, an aerobic 𝗬𝗏rend, get himself +1/+2 speed, HKS would be enough to bring down this Yowler.
Yeah, well said. We'll see. I mean, yeah, you know, this turn might, if this Yowler wants to stay on the board, I feel like a simple beta burst into 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 still brings it down. It looks like it's not the 𝗬𝗎 this time. It's gonna be the 𝗬𝗏 coming in. Oh, but the Yowler retreating. And is that... Oh, I was about to say, is that the third 𝗬𝗎 buff on the 𝗬𝗏? But no, just having some good Temtems out there. Well, 𝗬𝗏rend looks like just getting sacrificed here.
Yeah, I think that would have been a very nice 𝗬𝗎 buff, but it might have been a little on the nose. Potentially, it's better option to sacrifice 𝗬𝗏rend here, bring 𝗬𝗎 out this turn, and then sacrifice and have +5/+5 with life full sap on a 𝗬𝗏.
Yeah, absolutely insane. You know, Luke Leal and Tsubaki doing very similar strategies, buffing up this 𝗬𝗏, get that life full sap regen value every single time. And this 𝗬𝗏, as you said, if it does receive any more 𝗬𝗎 buffs, it will be 100% maxed out in terms of defense and special defense. And 𝗬𝗏, quite the good Temtem against Faiman's team. Maybe not the 𝗬𝗏rend, but little by little can maybe get the job done too.
Yeah, I really do feel like Luke Leal should just sacrifice here. A 100% HP 𝗬𝗎 that has only had protector buffs. If it uses sacrifice as its only technique, that's enough value. That's what 𝗬𝗎 came to this game to do.
Okay, you think so? I mean, I can see it. +5/+5 𝗬𝗏 with that lifeful sap. It is no joke. No joke whatsoever. And yeah, the only alternative would be, you know, you could swap out 𝗬𝗎 and then you risk your backline taking some damage. So I like what you're saying. Just to be able to bring in one of your Tems absolutely for free doesn't feel too bad. I mean, maybe... Yeah, I mean, there's not too much to do. I mean, you could just try to go neutral damage just to do it. Or Hypno Stonewall is what other people have in mind. But let's see, does Luke Leal... Is he feeling ready to sacrifice the 𝗬𝗎 at 100% HP?
No, not this turn. 𝗬𝗎 retreats for this Yowler, which was a pretty good read from Luke as 𝗏𝗏𝗺 retreats on Faiman's side. The Plague, though, towards this 𝗬𝗏rend, it was the just in case. Maybe try to outspeed, but no, the snare onto 𝗬𝗏 and Rainbow Guard onto the 𝗂𝘶. That was a fantastic turn from Faiman. He had essentially negated all of the impact that this 𝗬𝗏 would have had. Of course, Yowler is back out once more and looking pretty terrifying, so I don't think 𝗬𝗏rend is as happy as you may think.
Yeah, especially being at base speed, not even a +1 speed. If it was a +1 speed, something like a HKS plus a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 from this 𝗂𝘶, probably good enough to bring it all the way down. Yowler has no stats whatsoever. It's at 46%. You know, maybe those set it to attacks bring down the Yowler anyways. What do you think, Rawrzyyy? HKS from base speed? You think that would be enough plus 𝗂𝗀𝗄?
I think Yowler is really, really bulky, but 46% is scary. We're not going to end up seeing that, though. The Feather Gatling is the first technique to go off onto this Wolfie. Does get the plus speed. Plague, just not there in time. The exhaustion, not going to happen this turn. Synergy Master Water Cannon onto this poor Yowler. It does the damage, it gets the Toxic Ticks. But the Savage Suplex hits so hard in return. Even without that comebacker, it was almost enough to bring Voloran down.
Yeah, and I think the only difference there, we're used to seeing a little bit harder because most of these Yowlers are going with that turn 1, turn 2 show off. No show off here on this Yowler. Or, yeah, I can't remember if it did, but if it did, the chamomile erased it. But now things are looking decently good for Faiman. Only because the Yowler goes down so easily here. But at the same time, Leal has a +3/+3 Wolfie. Sapphire still in the back. Man, I can't really say, but Faiman with the Riken as well and 𝗂𝗀𝗽𝗶 in the back line feels like he has a slight edge. It depends how much this Hyperkinetic Strike does. If he doesn't want to gun down Yowler with it, maybe trying to throw, try and dish out the most damage you can on this Wolfie.
I really feel like Faiman needs to be a little bit worried about killing Yowler. Because if killing Yowler means Kiinu can come in for free and then even leave, I mean, it's not... It doesn't have to do anything anymore. If Sapphire is able to come in, get a single 𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗧 off on 𝗵𝗠𝗀, that's probably enough. I mean, that would be enough damage that Wolfie could do the rest of the job there. And Wolfie would absolutely win these fights against Riken and 𝗂𝗀𝗽 if it's +5.
Yeah, 100%. Plus those Lifeful Sap that Leal was running too. The only Temtem, but alright, Voloran not going down just yet. Noxious Bomb, interesting enough, so...
Yeah, combining everything though, Yowler does fall down. No more Big Bear. 𝗂𝗀𝗽 with the overexertion though, potentially a misplay. The DV onto Voloran. It's enough to bring it down, but that means there's no DV for this next turn.
Yeah, I guess just wanted to make 100% certainty the most he could to bring down the bird. Faiman tried to live that by going with a toxic technique rather than a win one to keep that special defense only at -1. So he tried to live that, but that's a bit feels bad, man, 100%. Only because Voloran did not get off a HKS. That was the heaviest technique Faiman had available to him. And didn't get to deploy it this game, so Leal feeling all that much better.
Yeah, so now Sapphire. This is a pretty good turn for Sapphire to come back out as 𝗂𝗀𝗽 overexerted. We're not going to be seeing any water techniques. The most that could come, I'm not sure if Tornado is available for 𝗵𝗠𝗀 this turn or if he's got to wait until next turn. But that would really be it, as Beta Burst or Tornado. Sapphire does have pretty lacking special defense. So that would do a lot of damage, but probably not enough to bring it down from 63% right away. So I think that this 𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗧 is definitely targeting 𝗵𝗠𝗀's spot. I mean, Riken would be the swap that saves Faiman, but then he's kind of in a weird position where Wolfie gets the pick of the litter, can do whatever he wants, but no, Faiman retreats 𝗂𝗀𝗽 for the Riken instead, switching out fire for fire and telling 𝗵𝗠𝗀 to just kind of deal with it. Tornado was available, so onto this Sapphire from 63% all the way down to 7. Just barely hanging on despite the air specialist, despite the hand fan, the 𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗧 doing just under 50, and Lifeful Sap once more for Wolfie, just keeping it perfectly healthy.
Yeah, that's a tankier 𝗵𝗠𝗀 than we're used to seeing. It looked like it had a strange vest on it. Of course, Sapphire did not have the +2 attack that we're used to seeing from a heat up. But still, I mean, maybe it was the heat up that started me off, but 𝗂𝗀𝗄𝗧 didn't do as hard. Of course, it also didn't have the neutral synergy on top of that, so maybe that's why I felt a bit lackluster. But 𝗵𝗠𝗀, as you said, surviving over 50%, so it's going to take a double up to go down. But now Riken is here. Does Vortex is online? A couple things to think about. 𝗵𝗠𝗀 just used his 3 prio move. Oh, but he has Emanip too, but it looks like he's switching out here.
Yeah, this is a little bit scary for Leal. Yeah, I mean, 𝗂𝗵𝗴 stays in, the 𝗧𝗵𝗺 is not going to be enough for anything there. And Raikkonen will get its prideful buff this turn, but I don't think it's going to be enough. After that much damage that was just dealt, Raikonen's going to have to outspeed, I mean, potentially Hypnosis or Sacrifice from this Kinu, and it just doesn't seem all that likely. I mean, maybe this is the Sacrifice turn just to get 𝗏𝗏 to that +5/+5, because Kinu does not feel very good against two very, very strong Fire Tems.
Yeah, double 𝗧𝗵𝗺 incoming onto the Kinu. So yeah, if Leal wants to just sacrifice, if he thinks he could Hypno one of these Temtems, maybe that gives Leal a bit more breathing room. But it looks like Raikkonen and this 𝗂𝗀 are coming out to play. 𝗏𝗏 overexerted, so it's only coming from this Kinu.
Oh man, Kinu decides to beta burst, so no sacrifice this time. Hypnosis from 𝗂𝗀 onto the 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏 had to have rested, right? Because it's definitely faster. Does rest in the end as it's taking a bit of a nap, getting its stamina back in place. Kinu surviving means the sacrifice could come now, and it feels a lot better when you have 3% HP compared to 100.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I could imagine sacrifice if it's online. This is the perfect opportunity. It looked good a couple turns ago, but this 100% looks about the best opportunity possible. You wake up 𝗏𝗏 as well. Does Vortex goes off, and you get your crazy maxed out. So just in case the 𝗏𝗏 wakes up, Raikkonen is going to be swapping out here.
Yeah, so Kinu, it does finally hit that move that I've been talking about since turn 3. 𝗏𝗏's +5/+5 against the world now, but he definitely has the advantage. The only Tem that he doesn't hit very hard is that 𝗏𝗺𝗀, but 𝗏𝗺𝗀's down to 32% right now. It's really going to have to be 𝗵𝗵 spam that gets 𝗏𝗺𝗀 the victory here for Faiman in game 1.
Yeah, so we'll pay very close attention. One 𝗬𝗵𝗆 did about 26%. One 𝗧𝗵𝗺 did about 16% from +1. So those double attacks just doing 30%. And man, Leal could just hit a lifeful sap and he's feeling really good. 𝗏𝗺𝗀 has Tornado. 𝗂𝗀 has to... Oh, I like this. Like you said, Rawrzyyy, just overexert the 𝗏𝗏. Does it overexert from a life regen though?
No, 𝗏𝗏 good to go, gets that lifeful sap off, doesn't overexert itself for free damage. And now it really just has to rest for a few turns because this 𝗵𝗵 spam is going to do damage. 𝗏𝗏, he's starting to sweat a little bit, but Hypnosis makes it even easier because now he's forced to rest. It does knock off that regeneration, which is definitely a good play for Faiman if you can stop the healing and force 𝗏𝗏 to either rest or heal and not attack. That is the way to go.
Yeah, that is not too bad. Did Faiman think of a win condition here? He kind of just has the overexert into Hypnosis, but Raikkonen coming out. Now that 𝗏𝗏 is coming back online with this does Vortex, so maybe just choosing to sack Raikkonen here. But it's going to go down swinging. It's at +1 speed, +1 attack. So 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺 has to do about 20% on this bad boy. And then 𝗏𝗺𝗀, okay, just sticking with the overexert strat.
Yeah, I mean, that's all 𝗏𝗺𝗀 has to do at this point. If it's able to survive some of these attacks, then it's perfectly happy. I'm a little surprised to see Embers instead of a 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺 from Raikkonen. But neither here nor there, it does fall victim to a DV, sacrificing itself so that 𝗂𝗀 may live and Hypno again.
That's very true. I don't know if Hypno is back online since he retreated the previous turn. So let's see. I mean, 𝗏𝗏 has to think about, do I want to attack or is Faiman going to overexert me? It looks like this 𝗏𝗺𝗀 has been going first. We haven't seen 𝗏𝗏 hit Plague though. Leal has the speed arrow. If it hits Plague and it kills the 𝗏𝗺𝗀, I would be impressed. But the Tornado, it looks like Leal going for the Hail Mary right here, right now.
As much damage as possible, but it still might not be enough. The overexertion onto 𝗏𝗺𝗀 It doesn't get the kill. I think that needed to be on 𝗂𝗽𝗽𝗃, because now the overexertion damage, the 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗃 damage, 𝗂𝗃 is guaranteed to die before getting another attack off.
Yeah, quite impressive performance. We were thinking, everyone in here was thinking a +5, +5. 𝗂𝗃 wins Luke Leal the game, and that's what Luke Leal thought as well, but Faiman had a different agenda for him. GG. Faiman going up 1 game in the winner's final. I think it would have taken 2 plagues.
From where it was at the end, I think 1 plague might have been enough. That 𝗂𝗃 was definitely hitting hard. And 𝗂𝗽𝗃 doesn't have the best defenses in the first place, but I mean, we'll definitely get to see something like it again as we are back into the pick bans. Same teams, same players as you would hope to expect. The triple fire from Faiman is really interesting, though. We've seen, at least on ladder, quite a bit of the... Well, I guess not quite a bit. Quite a bit of success from the few players that are running Synergy Master 𝗂𝗽𝗃 with Drakash Hellfire. That's just so much damage going down into both sides. That's almost the equivalent of a heat up 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗃 wreck, except you have really good special defense.
Wait, which the Synergy Master Hellfire? Or
Yes.
yeah, we'll say, I mean, 25% additional damage on any kind of technique adds up to some big numbers. So I see why Faiman loves this triple fire. And I guess it works well with a Meteor Swarm too, right? Doesn't Meteor Swarm get a fire synergy?
Yeah, it does. The burn is really nice, and the extra damage on an attack that's a little bit lower base damage is very nice. I'm almost a little bit surprised that Faiman doesn't have any Stone Ball users, as that's another one that's really good with the Synergy Master 𝗂𝗽𝗃 when you're running kind of that fire team.
Yeah, very true. I can definitely see that. Something like a good old 2-rock. But you know, when Luke Leal starts a Yowler, you know the Kinu's coming. So Faiman choosing a Temtem or a Temtem pairing that is able to take care of Kinu very easily. We saw it many times throughout this tournament. No matter how quick this Kinu is, you're never going to get the beta burst off, which kind of feels so bad. You would think a beta burst coming to the Scunch is a good play. But no, P-Jab 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗃 will be bringing that Kinu under, unless Luke wants to make a swap into something like Sapphire, perhaps. We'll see.
Even then, it's a little bit rough, because Sapphire would take that perfect jab. And you really just don't want to have Tems take perfect jab on turn 1.
Yeah, that just goes to show you how much of a powerhouse that Scunch is. It's only P-Jab target on Faiman's side. And Kinu's the only mental Temtem remaining, as the Nagas did get banned. So if the Kinu goes down, this Scunch ends up running away with a lot of the game. But we'll see. Yowler, you know, you put all the pressure on Kinu. That means Yowler getting away scot-free for the first couple turns. So we'll see. Both players a good start. But I don't know. I feel like the Scunch Raiken has a bit more of tempo potential just because you get a kill early on. If it's a kill with the Raiken, that's a prideful buff right there. So we'll see how these tamers decide to play it out. I think a bit more pressure on Faiman, funny enough, having the orange side.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I really like Faiman's first 2 to 3 turns here. I feel like, you know, Kinu has to leave, or else it does give that prideful buff to Raiken. And there's not really anyone that wants to come in, because if Sapphire comes in, then he's just going to take a Savage Suplex on turn 2, and Savage Suplex combined with a 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗃 is probably enough to take it down and give Raiken that buff. Same thing with Volerend. 𝗂𝗃 as well. I mean, he doesn't want to come into any Scunches. I mean, the perfect jab on its own, getting that melee damage on Earth typing, it's a really good lead for Faiman. I think that this Scunch was the best pick.
I think so too. So as we were thinking, the Sapphire, the only thing, but oh, gunning down the Yowler, a little bit unconventional than we were thinking.
Yeah, doubling the Yowler, it only does 40% damage, which is not very much at all, really. But but Yowler did have the +1 defense from the Kinu buff, so I guess it really was just knocking it back down to base.
Yeah, but that's still not a lot of damage, especially being the neutral synergy on top of that. Yowler just such a tanky Tem. But you know, this Sapphire going unpunished. And we all know the only reason I'm not a huge fan of attacking Owlr, I mean, usually you want to ban him if you can. But Owlr has those pesky's hibernate coming in the next couple turns. So all that damage getting revitalized back up on Owlr. So we'll see. We'll see what goes down. Maybe a decent time for a heat up on this Sapphire. It doesn't feel too bad. Nothing looks like it could one-shot it straight up. But maybe a good turn 1 or turn 2 Savage Suplex into a turn 3 Ninja Jutsu probably brings it down. So that's something Luke Leal's considering as well.
I think because Faiman started this fight with Owlr, he probably needs to finish it. You mentioned hibernation is coming, and that's just going to undo this damage in its entirety, and Owlr is going to be peachy once more. So I think that Faiman needs to target down Owlr. It's kind of like in the olden days when we had 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 everywhere. You would either ignore it or you would target it at, you know, potential risk of the rest of your Tem's safety. And I think that that's probably what Faiman has to do right now, is just continually bombard it. But no, perfect job on the Kinu. If this is followed by a 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀, that's a dead Kinu on entry. And Skunch is feeling so good. It is! 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀 brings this Kinu down. The prideful buff onto Raiken is a great place to start. The Savage Suplex does so much damage, even without the comebacker.
Yeah, not too shabby. Beautiful, beautiful read for the side of Faiman. And knowing that Kinu was like a 80% or whatever percent he thought it was coming out, just making the read. Kinu coming back in and buff out the Owlr. So Faiman not taking the Kinu down turn 1, but instead taking it down turn 2. Beautiful play. And Raiken starting to come online. Did take a big Savage Suplex from this Owlr. But you know, now able to get another 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀 into any spot he chooses. Maybe gonna go for the Owlr as you said. But Hibernate's online, isn't it?
Yeah, Hibernate is available now for this Owlr. It would go last, but it's definitely surviving this turn, so that wouldn't be too much of an issue for the big old bear, especially with the +1. I mean, with the perfect jab, bringing it back down to base, 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀 wouldn't be enough on its own. And because it is +1, I don't think that a Savage Suplex plus 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀 would be enough. But I think that Faiman has good value on this Skunch now for the rest of the game, as it is his War Drum user. It is still max HP. It has all of its techniques available to it this turn. And the only direct threat that Luke Leal had for this Skunch just died in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, just a good old right hook, left hook combo, bringing that Kinu down. Well, you're right. Everything's online for the Skunch, so Skunch is just staring down. Well, I don't know. I don't think he wants to go into the Owlr anymore, right? Without the Kinu, I feel like you just clean up everything on the other spot. Or I guess the 𝗬𝗀𝗺 can.
Yeah, 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀, it does overexert because of the Savage Suplex exhaustion. And 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀 back and forth. 𝗬𝗏𝗽𝗍 out of this Owlr. It's just not enough. Holding on at 1.7%. So whatever Owlr wants to do now, it's going to be pretty scary. But 𝗬𝗏𝗽𝗍 back onto Skunch. That's potentially a weird play. Maybe expecting Skunch to leave. Hitting melee with melee definitely doesn't work out as well as one might hope.
Yeah, not too bad. I think just Savage Suplex wasn't online for Luke Leal's Owlr, so it just had to go. And yeah, for doing half effective damage, still doing a boatload. However, Skunch is online with a Ninja Jutsu. That is something Luke Leal has to consider, so could just get the kill on Owlr. But Sapphire reciprocates the kill onto the Skunch with another 𝗬𝗀𝗺𝗇𝗀, so it could be a 1-for-1 trade. I think Skunch is a bit more valuable, especially because it, as you said, the War Drum target. And Owlr just so low. Owlr goes down to any little attack, so I think Faiman might want to save the Skunch. But Raiken is overexerted, so this is a tricky spot Faiman find themselves in.
Yeah, I mean, Skunch, of course, with that 𝗬𝗏𝗍𝗺 would be the best way to handle Luke Leal's Wolfie. But I just don't think that that's going to happen anymore. I don't think that Skunch will ever see a turn on this field where he doesn't take damage. I think that he has way too much presence and potential and far too little HP. So it probably is Unfortunately, just time to ninja jutsu a 𝗂𝗶𝗴 or just take down the Yowler to make sure that it's gone and can't hibernate. But I don't know. He could definitely leave and come back later just to Savage Suplex Volorand. That's always going to be good damage.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, because Wolfie with a single Plague probably brings it down, right? So 3 Prio Plague, bringing down the Scunch before the Ashi Dashi, that's probably most likely happen. Because, yeah, 27%, not the most to take down. So, yeah, maybe just try and do damage where you can. Ninja Jutsu the 𝗂𝗵𝗴, just to bring it down a little bit more manageable for the side. There's no more Revitalize. Luke Leal has Lifeful Sap on a Wolfie, but no Revitalize available to him for any of his other temps, so all the damage will stick for the remaining of the turn. Or not the turn, remainder of the game.
Yeah, and really that Wolfie, since it doesn't have any of those Kinu buffs and it won't get any, it's definitely not as happy as it was in game 1, as there's still full HP Drakash, full HP Fire 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and a full HP Volorand that pretty hard counters this Wolfie.
Yeah, and funny enough, something that we didn't point out, how the heck did Faiman get all of his 3 Fire Temtems recruited? It looks like Luke Leal not fearing any kind of fire presence, but he does swap out the Yowler for the bird, and it's going to be eating up a Ninja Jutsu, and whoa! It always surprises me how much damage it does.
Oh yeah, this Scunch is just so strong, and then combine that with the War Drum, combine that with Brawny, it is just so terrifying. It does fall down to the burn rather than the damage, so that was almost very scary for Luke Leal. If Faiman was able to survive an attack again, that would have been too much value out of Scunch.
Oh yeah. I mean, I believe the Scunch overexerted there, so might have not made too much of a difference, but actually it does make a good difference because you're able to bring in an attacking Tem for this board, so that Mud Shower staring 𝗂𝗵𝗴 directly down, and Volor's the only one that wants to eat those, and that's already on the board. So Faiman, a great board here in turn 5. 𝗂𝗵𝗴 doesn't have too much to do. I mean, could just gun down the Volorant, but then he has to eat those crazy Mud Showers coming out from Drakash. So we'll see. I mean, Luke Leal almost wants to swap out both his Temtems. Oh, and the concession. Okay. Wait a minute. That is GG, right?
That's GG. That's Faiman taking the 2-0 victory over Luke Leal. Light disadvantage of that one game out of the best of 5. But that's definitely not too big of a mountain compared to what he's already done to get to this point.
Oh yeah, Tsubaki, the epitome of a trooper, just sitting down, not giving up, staying calm throughout this entire tournament. As you said, it was just death's door every single round. Best of 1, best of 1, best of 1. And Tsubaki not giving up. And now he has himself a best of 3. And that's where Tsubaki tends to thrive just a little bit more. Just because he has such good skills at really understanding the team you're going against, your players' tendencies. So Tsubaki just reading a lot of players on a different level sometimes. We'll see. We could almost say the same about Luke Leal though. So Luke Leal is probably an opponent that will be giving Tsubaki troubles. I don't think they played today, so this might be the first time playing against each other. Let's see how this goes down. This looks quite epic though.
Yeah, I'm wondering what Luke Leal's answer is to the Naga Gulder. I mean, other than just throwing out a Naga of his own, it doesn't look like he has any Tems that are traditional drill Tems. Usually you would see something like the Gulder or the Calibus, just something that's already slow, just toxic. Maybe he has that water as well and can survive some of these Naga hits. But really, I mean, Luke Leal, he's got the Volorand, but we've already seen that one's aerobic, so it's not going to fight a Naga. The Valash is neutral typing, so it's taking that neutral damage off of Naga, so that's enough to kill it in 2 turns. Yeah, so the ban does come through for that Gulder, even though in my eyes it was the Grumper that was being highlighted for so long. It had to be the Gulder.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure if that's a visual bug, because I see it too, Rawrzyyy. It shows that the Grumper getting potentially picked up. But not too bad. I can agree. It looks like Leal only has the Voldaren in order to deal with the Golders. So if the Voldaren gets banned, he has no win techniques to deal with the Golders. So fantastic ban. But it looks like Tsubaki doesn't like his chances at gunning down a 𝗏𝗏. He does have triple mental, so could be right about that, or definitely is right about that. So Leal has everything else. So either a bird, which we have seen is anaerobic, but starting things off with the Kinu. All right.
Yeah, the Kinu's a pretty good start, as we've seen, you know, so many of Leal's Tems are perfectly happy becoming the raid boss, getting those buffs and carrying the game on their back. I don't think it's going to be Yowler this time, just because, you know, you kind of mentioned it. There's a lot of mental Tems that will really mess up Yowler.
Yeah, but Tsubaki doesn't have the counter pick option, so does go for, we don't get to see this too often. Naga is paired up with a Kinu. And hey, this is, if that was going to be a Yowler, this current board scares away Yowler so much so. Leal, having to think here. I mean, yeah. Oh, the mirror match. The mirror match. I don't think I've ever seen a game start off like this. Naga is Kinu on both sides, so to see Aura nowhere to be found.
Yeah, this is we never really see this. The Kinu and Naga together, they're both really good, but they're not really teammates all that often. They're not the best of friends that we've all come to see with all these other Tems. But on both sides, mirror match Kinu Naga is a fantastic way to lead. There's not going to be too much damage being done, though. I think this is a pretty safe Madness buff on both sides.
Yeah, and you know, Madness buff, I feel like does a little bit more against Leal's team. I mean, the 𝗏𝗏, the Yowler. Madness buff, of course, is such an insane, gives your Temtem such an insane heighten in strength. So, I mean, it's good against anything, but I feel like Tsubaki's Madness buff might be a bit more impactful. I mean, they're both good, but I'm seeing the 𝗏𝗶𝗴 on Tsubaki's side, you know, team elusive for those Furies. Doesn't take too much crazy damage, but we'll see. I mean, Madness buff is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Volaran's being picked up on both sides as well. 𝗏𝗏 for Tsubaki. We saw 𝗏𝗏 kind of single-handedly dismantle Leal at the end of game 1 of the upper bracket finals. So of course Tsubaki witnesses what it's capable of doing to this team, and of course brings it through. The pig does find its way into this game for Leal though, so that is going to be pretty interesting. Really, the pigs that I've seen recently have just been Prody and with that relaxed team, and of course that will do absolutely nothing against a triple mental team. So it's going to be pretty interesting seeing just how Leal is running this pig.
Yeah, of course. And we've seen, you know, Relax is one prio that thrives in the Sea Orb. But as you said, Tsubaki coming out incredibly prepared to deal with so many neutral Tems today, bringing out the triple mental team. So yeah, Leal didn't have a lot of neutral Tems. It looks like having a similar strategy to Tsubaki. Let's see which one is going to be overtaking the other, because this is a board we don't get to see too often. Nagas with the Kinu, just literally an exact mirror match opening turn. So it goes to say, who has the 9 speed? Who has the 1 speed? Leal has the speed arrow though, as he is blue side.
You know, I don't want to give any specific numbers. And I can't speak for Tsubaki because I don't know what the old Enigma and now EXO crew have been running for their Nagas. But I do know what PDX was doing with theirs was pretty spicy, and if it works out that way, then Leal might have the advantage in the early turns.
All right, so both Kinus retreat, and okay, Leal does get the Voldaren here. As we saw, it wasn't anaerobic, but Tsubaki Madness buff #1, so he goes first.
Yeah, he does indeed. So very strange, actually. The speed arrow, of course, does stay with Leal's. It wasn't a tie, so this has to be a 1SV versus a 9.
Yeah, it looks like Tsubaki has the 9 SV. Or maybe the 50 SV. Heck, it could be a perfect one, but more than likely a 9 SV. And then Leal has something under that because he went second, as you said. He has the speed arrow, so he should have gone first. But Tsubaki going first is a big information teller that Tsubaki just has the faster Nagas under Deceit Aura, under double Deceit Aura.
AKA under no Deceit Aura.
Yeah,
that warps my thinking way too much. When there's 2 Nagas, I will always make that mistake.
Yeah, 2 Nagas equal no Nagas. We gotta think about that. But now Madness buff online for both of these tamers. They're both at +3 special defense. 𝗏𝗶 kind of hurts Nagas a bit more, but the Voliran with the physical attack, I believe, should be able to hurt Tsubaki's Nagas a little bit more. But alright, out comes the pig.
Yeah, Piggy does not mind that plague one bit. 22% sitting pretty. He is trapped in, but he doesn't really mind that either because the lower Pig's health gets, the more fun it is to swap it in later with Fainted Curse. Noxious Bomb targeting the 𝗏𝗶, giving that nice little anaerobic buff and more damage onto this pig. It's actually a little bit too close to death now. If Tsubaki wants to eat that, I think that 𝗏𝗶 can probably just heal it back up a little bit later.
Yeah, we saw Tsubaki does play Lifeful Sap, so is able to recover. I'm wondering though, why didn't he want to Noxious Bomb the Nagas? Maybe he was trying to read a Nagai swap or something.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. That with Leal swapping out his own Naga, it had to have just been that expectation that we both counter each other so well. But the Stonewall goes first onto this Voliran because of that Deceit Aura is still in play. Lifeful Sap onto 𝗏𝗶. Noxious Bomb from Voliran into the Kinu now. So a really good read. Just barely under 50% though. So it's not enough to do it in 2. But Leal's Voliran +2/+3 is already seemingly very difficult for Tsubaki to handle.
Yeah, that is an understatement. Taking a look at Tsubaki-chan's side, he has a lot of special attackers. Naga is a special. Kinu, Barnji, 𝗏𝗶 are special attackers. Voliran has to do Voliran things. If it has Doppelganger, as we're used to seeing a lot from these tamers, that's going to be the only way. But, you know, as you said, it's already at +2 defense. Even, you know, good feather Gatlings, a hyperkinetic won't even be impacting Voliran on Leal's side all that crazy because of these buffs, and they're only seemingly getting worse and worse. One more toxic technique, that's +4 special defense. So maybe just in time before this Voliran gets to do anything to Leal's bird. Yeah, this is looking like a good carry for Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a double in from Luke onto this Kinu spot. Really, Voliran is the only one that can take Noxious Bomb plus Windburst or Tornado. But that could be easily read, and if Leal goes for this Feather Gatling, this will be quite a lot of damage. But no, Luke retreats Voliran. He says he's had enough of playing these games. Naga comes out, risking potential plagues here as it is red. Oh. Naga takes the plague down to 28%. Absolutely would have been down to 0 if it hadn't had that Kinu buff and Madness buff. But now that is the Bamboozle. That is what this pig is here for. He just wants to protect his friend Naga for a little while.
Yeah, not too bad. However, with this Voliran online, we saw how much the Plague did. Plague being 3 prio most likely goes last. So Voliran may be popping the Bamboozle, then 𝗏𝗶 connecting last with the thing. So if the pig can kind of finesse in there with the Bamboozle in between those attacks, then Naga feels good. But it is locked in. If the pig is faster, or no, if the pig is slower, aka faster in the Deceit Aura, that'll be the worst case situation. I mean, Tsubaki, it's an aerobic. He did Noxious Bomb. Or no. Voliran hasn't done anything, right?
Yeah, Voliran just came back in for this turn. I'm concerned about this pig potentially being a 1 SV speed. So it definitely wouldn't have been able to thread the needle in the middle of those 2 attacks in that case. And with that swap, it seems to potentially be that way. The Psy Surge onto Volerend just wants to make sure it gets something off as Plague hits this Naga, followed by the Noxious Bomb. So speeds are actually a little bit reversed, but this Noxious Bomb will absolutely not kill the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 Naga. What?
Yeah.
I thought that was a goner, but Leal bringing out the spicy tech, 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 surviving hardly on 6%.
Yeah, huge. The little Kinu buffing up. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the 𝗬𝗵𝗐 3 prio going before. So this aerobic Volerend on Tsubaki-chan's side is way faster than this 𝗬𝗵𝗐 naturally, or, you know, just TV'd out. So well done, that Noxious Bomb connecting last. But, you know, maybe biting him in the butt a little bit, because the Plague did enough last turn. Because 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 on Naga is converting all that special defense into defense. So Plague would have done the job. So if it did go last, I think this Naga would have not been here. But Leal gets one more attack off. And that might be a difference maker in this match.
Yeah, definitely. Just doing that little bit more damage, potentially bringing down Volerend this turn, or doing so much damage onto a forced swap. That's good value, but Naga's still gonna go down, and that leaves not too many attacking Tems on Luke's side. You know, Pig does have the potential to hit pretty hard, but he's also definitely built like a support Tem right now. That Stonewall and Bamboozle. Kinu also heavily in that support Tem space, so it would really just be down to this Volerend and 𝗂𝗵𝗆 to do the damage. And with a lot of HP remaining on Tsubaki's side, that might be too much.
Yeah, we'll see. Things are getting so close. It is turn 6, and no Temtems have gone down just yet. This Naga will be the first Temtem to go down, as it is locked in, so Leal can't retreat it. But we'll see. I mean, Volerend could just Noxious Bomb, and then 𝗬𝗵𝗐 has a Dust Vortex if it wants to overexert. Those are the straightforward plays. How does Leal and Tsubaki want to maneuver around that? I mean, maybe bring back the Pig for the Dust Vortex to eat that. Nagas can't do anything though, so just trying to dish out some damage as a final beta burst to close things out.
Yeah, Tsubaki retreating. Volerend doesn't want to take that death right now. Kinu, definitely a good one to take this damage, and giving a nice little buff to 𝗬𝗵𝗐 in the process doesn't hurt. You know, especially now staring down a 𝗂𝗵𝗆. But the beta burst from this Naga does go first. The madness buff means Kinu falls down. No more protector buffs here. 𝗂𝗵𝗆 with a heat up though, taking advantage of potentially a free turn, as yeah, the Plague, it's going to overexert 𝗬𝗵𝗐, so we won't be able to DV next turn. But of course that does mean Naga falls victim.
Yeah, Tsubaki putting Leal in that ultimatum. Do you want to Dust Vortex my 𝗂𝗵𝗆, or do you let Nagas get another turn next turn if you don't kill it this turn, right? So Leal saying you have to kill my Nagas or else I get another Psy Surge off the following turn. So well done. It's a free heat up, and that's 100% 𝗂𝗵𝗆, which, as you said, does Vortex not online because it just overexerted. But we'll see. Now Tsubaki, he's the only one with the Sea Aura presence around anymore, and Naga feels pretty good against this 𝗂𝗵𝗆 here. But at the same time, I was gonna say, but at the same time, maybe Volerend comes in to check it. Maybe those are some Temtems they're looking at.
I just feel like this Naga on Tsubaki's side is too good right now, because for Luke, there are Tems that could do a little bit of damage, but I don't think that they would have enough pressure to either save 𝗂𝗵𝗆 or save the Tem that is swapping into 𝗂𝗵𝗆's spot, and will just take the brute force of all of that madness buff beta burst.
Yeah, we'll see. Leal had a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴 on his Nagas. I don't think we've seen anything on Tsubaki's Nagas. If this is a 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗴, this Volerend won't be doing anything, or, you know, for that matter, Leal's Temtems won't be doing anything to Naga's HP. But okay, Nagas does retreat for 𝗵𝗆𝗄, interesting enough.
Yeah, my game is actually crashed, so I'm getting back into it. I apologize.
No worries, Rawrzyyy. I'll keep you in the loop. Tsubaki retreated, double retreated. 𝗵𝗀𝗀 and 𝗧𝗵𝗺 coming out. And then Leal buffing up the 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗴 of his own. So 𝗧𝗵𝗺 on Leal's side, he is almost disgustingly buffed up. And just a good old noxious bomb. Good old noxious bomb onto the 𝗵𝗀𝗀 there. So just about 25% can be taken for those noxious bomb to be taking the bird down.
Man, that +5 special defense on Leal's 𝗧𝗵𝗺 is just terrifying. I mean, Tsubaki's 𝗧𝗵𝗺 Feather Gatling is the only physical technique that he has, and it's still a +3 physical defense. This 𝗧𝗵𝗺, I think, has already become too much of a menace. I don't think that there's any way for Tsubaki to take it down in time.
Yeah, so much so that Tsubaki even retreated his Nagas the previous turn just so the 𝗵𝗀𝗀 could take that damage instead. So yeah, 100%. Leal knows it, which is why he keeps buffing it up. But now you can't even go any bit higher. It's maxed out in terms of special defense. Just missing 2 more defense to max that out there. You know, something like a Keanu sacrifice could do it, but something like a stone wall as well does the job. Maybe that's what Leal has in mind. If Tsubaki wants to read that though, Noxious Bomb Tornado onto Keanu just to try to put it out.
Yeah, I mean, the Nox Bomb would do quite a lot. Combining it with Tornado, if this is a squishy Keanu, that would be enough, but... Oh no, the turbo choreography from Keanu, getting that pig nice and speedy before it goes to be made into bacon, as really that 30% HP is not much to write home about. The Noxious Bomb, 40% the Tornado, doubling in, expecting the Stonewall potentially, but no, Keanu survives. 21% hanging on to the very end.
Yeah, not too bad. So Leal getting that +2/+2 on that Keanu and the pig. So now 𝗵𝗵𝗺𝗀 / Hypno shenanigans are online for Leal. And Tsubaki's 𝗧𝗵𝗺 hasn't started speeding up, so Hypnosis could be coming onto the bird. But then 𝗵𝗀𝗀 just has a simple beta burst. Oh, unless the pig wants to protect the Keanu with a 𝗵𝗵𝗺𝗀, but I don't know how I feel about that. These are double supports trying to do some damage here. I don't know.
You know, we call them double supports, but these two used to be the meta. They were, you know, part of the Fantastic Four with those Hypnos, the Turbos. They definitely used to have it in them. But no, the swap to 𝗂𝗵𝗺, the sacrifice into a max HP. That means +2 attack, +2 defense, +2 special defense. But of course, the Toxic Plume, nice little bit of poison damage that's going to do it to you no matter what. Followed up with the Beta Burst, and 𝗂𝗵𝗺 takes more damage than you might expect after a sacrifice turn.
Yeah, that is not too bad. So Leal able to bring out the pig here at +2 speed, able to protect this 𝗂𝗵𝗺 a little bit better with those bamboozles that should always be going first. 𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀, of course, has Tornado back online, but look at his stamina. Not able to throw down much more after that, or, you know, has to overexert to get that Tornado off. So we'll see. Maybe even a +2 pig still outspeeds it, because +2, that's 100%. So that's like 2. And Prio for Tornado is 1.5x, right? So pig could still outspeed it.
Yeah, I'm curious what Luke plans to do with that plus speed, because Keanu, I mean, of course it does get that sacrifice off nice and securely, but now it's all up to Pig. The remainder of that turbo choreography value has to come out of a very injured support tem. I'm wondering if we're going to see Stonewalls, or if this is all just about bamboozles before the 𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀 can attack.
Yeah, very true, because yeah, Tsubaki doesn't have the most amount of damage onto the pig either. That is win on win damage. So looking like Tsubaki wants to gun down this 𝗂𝗵𝗺. But yeah, has to overexert to do so on the 𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀. And 𝗧𝗵𝗺 hasn't started stacking up any speed because of the Deceit Aura Nagas in the back. Doesn't want to get too speedy, aka too slow if they're ever on the same board together. So this is where things get interesting. Round 10. 𝗵𝗵𝗃 +2 speed. What goes down? I mean, 𝗏𝗠𝗀 gets one shot from this position. That is a heated up 𝗏𝗏ire, so that's something Tsubaki has to consider.
I mean, for Tsubaki's side, he does have a couple of pretty safe swap-ins. The 𝗏𝗶𝗴 does have +2 defense, so it's not going to take too much damage from that, and it does have the Lifeful Sap, so it can always heal that back. Or Naga can fight back pretty well. Definitely, take this first 𝗬𝗀𝗃, kill the pig, and then, force 𝗏𝗏ire to take a Fury.
Yeah, very true. Both of the backline Tems were really, really good to eat that damage. But let's see. So 𝗬𝗀𝗃 going onto the Naga. So Tsubaki making a beautiful read there.
Oh, yeah. And 𝗏𝗠𝗀 just trying to do away with the pig nice and early. But no, it holds on. 𝗏𝗠𝗀 overexerts in the process, which means if pig wants to go down, it's got to be this Naga that takes this Fainted Curse. And I don't think Tsubaki wants to do that after the 𝗬𝗀𝗃. I mean, Naga's down below 50% now. If he gets the Fainted Curse, gets another 𝗬𝗀𝗃, if he doesn't die, he will be very close.
Yeah, as you said, the Bamboozle only leaving one option for Tsubaki is to kill the pig, but Fainted Curse, that's 30%, leaving the Nagas in the red. Does he want to do that? Or is he thinking about another play? If he doesn't kill the pig, it's almost like a lose-lose, because if he doesn't kill the pig, that's like another Stonewall potentially on this 𝗏𝗏ire, so maybe he has to bite the bullet. But let's see what Tsubaki elected to do. So out comes the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 one more time.
Yeah, and pig does retreat as well, so it's just that perfect Fainted Curse bomb that can come in whenever Luke expects an attack to come a certain way. But the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 swapping into that 𝗬𝗀𝗃 is a very nice read from Tsubaki. Naga is still around to fight for this turn. Although, now Naga's got to be a little bit worried. He can't just click Fury all willy-nilly because Voliran Noxious Bomb plus Fainted Curse on the pig is guaranteed death.
Oh, so true. So Tsubaki is scared about the pig bomb. We used to call that the bomb, the pig bomb. Anytime you have a low HP pig, that's something on the minds of every tamer. Is he swapping in the pig? Am I going to be eating this 30%? So yeah, that is on the mind of Tsubaki right now. Not trying to eat this pig bomb. But I don't think... I mean, if he wants to dish out damage, he's going to have to keep it singular. But alright, Naga is not deciding on an attack. It does retreat instead.
Yeah, 𝗏𝗠𝗀 comes out as pig also swaps in, potentially nuking somebody right away, but also potentially not accomplishing anything. The DV onto pig. So 𝗏𝗏𝗃, it doesn't matter if you're +2/+2, friend. That is 30% that you're not going to get back. 𝗏𝗠𝗀 with the Strange Vest means that it is going to take the Feather Gatling very well. But it's kind of a weird position now, because I feel like as much as this Voliran can't be injured, it's also going to take a really long time to whittle down Tsubaki's Tems. And with Tsubaki having such good reads and such solid swaps, he's really been taking the least amount of damage possible with each of Luke's attempts.
Yeah, I mean, Tsubaki has the Tem advantage, so he has that going for him, so has some potential swaps to work with. And those swaps are rather bulky, but HKS gunning down this 𝗏𝗏𝗃. And oh my goodness, not even a little tickle there.
Yeah, when you're not very fast and you're -3 special attack, it's not going to be a very strong HKS, but it did outspeed the 𝗵𝗵𝗃, and that was potentially all that Luke wanted. Although this Lifeful Sap onto 𝗏𝗏𝗃, that means that he can leave and come back in later with all of his HP back once more, and that's enough for the concession. On game 1, Luke Leal says he doesn't want to fight that fight, and Tsubaki takes the first game. Very much damage, and just fighting those 𝗵𝗵𝗃s and those plagues, kind of like he did against Faiman earlier. It was a little bit too much for him then, and I think he just saw the writing on the walls.
Yeah, I can agree with that then. You know what? Maybe, well, if it comes to a 1v1, that Voliran on Luke Leal's side versus that buffed up 𝗏𝗏𝗃 on Tsubaki's side, who would win that? Would 𝗏𝗏𝗃 from the overexertion pressure take that away? I think it would, huh?
If it was the 1v1, I think that Voliran would be okay, because he would take so little damage from each attack. that he has enough time to just rest for 2 turns in between each Nox Bomb, and it wouldn't be too much of an impact. I think that he would definitely still win that one. I think that the 𝗵𝗺𝗁𝗍 as well as the 𝗬𝗺𝗵 is really what the difficulty was, because the Strange Vest 𝗵𝗺𝗍 wasn't going to be taken down very easily. Although I think 𝗂𝗵𝗆 was still around, right? So there were, I don't know, there were still some options. It wasn't as simple as just a 1v1, but...
Yeah, that's what I thought. But hey, Luke Leal, much better than I am. So for sure, if he saw the writing on the wall, I definitely going to trust him there. But I felt like there was some kind of chance, because it was going down that path. Voldaren on Luke Leal versus 𝗬𝗺𝗵 on Tsubaki side. That's why I asked who would win the 1v1, because it looked like if all things said and done, it would have ended up being a 1v1 there. But yeah, maybe with the 𝗵𝗺𝗍 Strange Vest still kicking, maybe a bit of a problem there, but we'll see. It is game number 2, Tsubaki. Oh my goodness, Tsubaki 1 game away from getting knocked out in round 1 to the losers bracket, and now 1 game away from finding himself in the grand finals. Is Tsubaki gonna do the ultimate comeback? I mean, there's nothing that I doubt against Tsubaki, but man, I would never imagine anyone to do so. I mean, if there's anyone that can, it would be Tsubaki here.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the Cinderella story comeback king, if we've ever seen one. But I do like Luke's initial ban now a little bit more, getting rid of that Naga and not fighting that battle that just put weird strain on some of Luke's Tems. And especially with the lead of this 𝗂𝗵𝗆, it's very nice to not have to fight any of those water Tems.
Yeah, not too bad. It looks like he, interesting enough, decided to ban the Yowler now that the Nagas got banned. So fair enough, you don't have more mental pressure for the Yowler, so gotta take it out of here. But the Voldaren, no longer the ban anymore. So it would actually, no, both Tamers had the Voldaren, so I was mistaken. It was 𝗏𝗏 and
it might have been 𝗏𝗏 Yowler on turn 1, because Luke Leal doesn't have too many mental Tems at his disposal. But I mean, this is a very different game now. We saw previously Tsubaki had triple mental as the first 3 picks, and now he was only able to bring through 2 of them.
Yeah, and I didn't even get to see, was the Golder also picked up? Let's take a look.
We just have all these Kinu buffs coming through. Oh yeah, Tsubaki only got 1. He did not bring 𝗵𝗺𝗍. He brought Yowler instead, and Golder is here. Luke Leal does have Pig and Voldaren to fight that though, so it's not the end of the world. There is still some decent options if Luke is able to manipulate the game in a way that works for him.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, this Yowler was not on game number 1, and we all know how freaking powerful this Temtem is. So yeah, if you get a couple Kinu buffs on this Yowler, it could carry him to success. So we'll see. Game number 2.
It needs to be said here, there was just a comment in the Twitch chat. It's on the bottom of the stream. Anyone watching the VOD, Luke Leal just typed in, "All right, everyone, this will either work or I will be free from Temtem for 11 hours. Either way is a win."
Not too bad. It looks like it's a long day and ready to get some rest. I would imagine so. It's been a decently long tournament. So hey, Luke Leal looking to get some rest. But hey, is that saying he's just gonna straight down, bite down, and heat up in Tsubaki's face here?
I think that's Luke saying he's going balls to the wall this game. He's going to be clicking the aggro green circles over and over again. Although the initial swap from Kinu to Pig is really good to counter that Golder swap, so that doesn't feel all that aggro. I might see what's happening here actually with this Piggy with the bamboozles in play, with 𝗬𝗺𝗵 not really wanting to take a +2 𝗧𝗏𝗺.
Yeah, we'll
not
see.
Really any options in the back for Tsubaki either. Now that Golder is out on the field, nobody wants this 𝗧𝗏𝗺.
Yeah, very true. Golder would be the only Temtem that eats it quite well. The only thing I'm worried here, if 𝗬𝗺𝗵 outspeeds the Pig, Bamboozle won't be there fast enough to save the Cat-Fire, and Does Vortex should be enough to do at least 60-70% damage on this Cat-Fire, if not a little bit more. But let's see. I mean, no neutral synergy to pair up that Cat-Fire with the or the 𝗃 play. So yeah, Leal has to pray that his pig is faster. And you know what? Thinking back, 𝗏𝗶 on Tsubaki's team was so slow that the Volarant outsped it in the Sea Aura, remember? So 𝗏𝗶 probably has no speed whatsoever. Oh!
Double heat up. This Cat-Fire is +4 attack. Now the Bamboozle does go first. Which, oh, Lifeful Sap! The Tsubaki making the read, understanding what was coming. Toxic Ink. It does drop off that. Now Bamboozle is in play again, and there's really nobody who wants to take a +4 Quetzaleño on this 𝗏𝗶 side. I mean, it has to be Guldur that swaps in and takes it. But he can't.
Yeah, it's the only Temtem is on the board, but you know, a 𝗏𝗶 at +1 defense might be the only Temtem that can eat it decently well. It is neutral damage. I mean, Volarant would take the beating way worse. Yowler's a tanky temp, but you don't want your Yowler getting too low just yet. So does 𝗏𝗶 just bite down and take the Quetzal to the face? I mean, it has 6 ticks of regen still to go. Oh man, I see what Leal was saying. A pedal to the metal, +4 Cat-Fire here in our losers final. Is Cat-Fire just gonna do God's work for Luke? I mean, he's running out of stamina though.
Yeah, this could be the flaming meatball of doom combined with a tornado, and that probably kills everybody. Yowler might survive on like 5, but everybody else is on their way out.
Yeah, we will see. Of course, he has to protect the Cat-Fire a little bit as well. So 𝗃 Plague, doing as much as you could, just a good overexertion. So Cat-Fire looking to hurt himself, and interesting enough, decides to go for the Guldur there.
Yeah, I mean, the Embers, it does overexert because of that exhaustion on the Plague. Bamboozle, I mean, it stopped a Toxic tick, but now Cat-Fire's got to go, and we just saw all of those heat ups, all of this hype, and now like a Volarant is going to come in.
Yeah, exactly said. So Cat-Fire, a little bit of a blue balls here early on. I mean, just get some good damage on Guldur. I mean, 40% about is nothing to sneeze at, especially just considering good neutral pressure. So not the worst, but now Cat-Fire finding himself overexerted, so has to retreat. What does he have in mind? As you said, maybe the Volarant. Volarant eats up those attacks from 𝗏𝗶 and able to reciprocate back onto the Guldur, or I guess the 𝗏𝗶. And maybe the pig just goes for a good old tornado this turn. Tornado or Stonewall doesn't feel that bad. So we'll see.
I really want to believe that Luke is about to make the biggest 5-head read any of us have ever seen, and stonewall a Cat-Fire and just hang out. Like, don't Bamboozle. Just know that 𝗏𝗏 is about to turn into a Volarant and that he made the right decision.
Yeah, I could only imagine, because, you know, these tamers at this high level, they never keep it straightforward. You know, does Vortex? Yeah, green circle on Cat-Fire. Why wouldn't you click it? Well, that's exactly the same reason why Tsubaki and Leal like these tamers here. They don't really like going for it because it's one of the most obvious plays to read around. So Tsubaki's saying, if I does Vortex to Cat-Fire, I'm just going to be does Vortexing this Volarant, or rather the Kinu here. Okay.
Kinu, I mean, it does get that buff onto Pig. It means that Turbo is available next turn. Oh, the Plague on Pig, though, is pretty nice. But that does mean Kinu's got to take a Toxic Ink, potentially this turn. Oh, relax. No Toxic Inks. Guldur is taking a bit of a nap, and Kinu is safe to Turbo next turn.
Yeah, exactly that. And the Pig able to get a Stoneball as well. I mean, I guess you can get it off on the Pig yourself. Just infinite bamboozle throughout this whole match. Doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, since Leal has sacrifice on Kinu, maybe not worth to Stonewall the Kinu. So yeah, Turbo from Kinu, and then the Piggyback to Stonewall himself. That doesn't sound terrible. I mean, Tsubaki's 𝗏𝗶 either runs out of stamina, He can't regen any bit more, and he can't really do too much. I guess he could trap in the King. That way Golder can take it apart afterwards. Maybe that's the best Tsubaki can do right now, but that overexerts the 𝗏𝗶𝗴.
Yeah, and I don't know if the overexertion on 𝗏𝗶𝗴 would be worth it, considering Lifeful Sap is starting to come to an end. So he's either going to have to leave without one, or stay in and risk taking even more damage.
Yeah, at the same time, since Tsubaki knows Leal isn't most likely doing any kind of damage this turn, Tsubaki could just bring out a King of his own, bring out the Golder, or buff up the Golder. That doesn't seem too terrible. Oh.
Alright, so both the Volorens come to play. Golder retreats for this King. Nice little protector buff on the Volorend. I really... this turn, I want to see Turbo, and then King swap, and then Turbo. So yeah, the first Turbo does come through. Leal has just decided to say, I'm just gonna buff. I'm gonna support. I'm gonna make all of my arrows green, and then we'll play the game. Then we'll see what Tsubaki wants to do. And almost against what we're used to seeing, Tsubaki's only got 2 King buffs on his team. There's nothing else. There have been no turbos, no stonewalls. And it's really Leal that's leading the charge here with a lot of buffs, and I think with the HP advantage too.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, still very close, but when it comes to those buffs, Leal is definitely way more statted up right now. But Tsubaki not too far behind, getting one more King buff on this Voloren. But as you said, that is only King buff number 2. So Tsubaki has a bit of catching up to do. But now it's a Vola v Vola. I believe both of these guys have Doppelganger on their Volas, so could just be directing that damage. One of them has +1 defense, the other one does not. But one of them is faster with the heavy hitting hyperkinetic, so maybe that evens out a bit here.
I mean, yeah, this Voloren could potentially Feather Gatling. I'm sorry, Leal's Voloren could potentially Feather Gatling this turn. Take another Turbo the following turn, and if speed is tiered properly, it could be a +4 HKS instead of that +2. That would definitely be a little bit more fight back against the +1 buff.
Yeah, it would be absolutely big. And without Tsubaki's bird having any kind of speed just yet, 𝗶𝗵𝗃 being at +2 speed, most likely able to protect his own Voloren from that crazy Doppelganger Feather Gatling. But okay, gonna be retreating, and Sapphire coming in. All right. Let's see what this has to... okay, just a clean bamboozle onto the Sapphire.
Yeah, I definitely like that. It's through the Stonewall read as well, so this Voloren is very bulky. But this is a +4 attack Sapphire with Flaming Meteorite potentially here. I mean, he's got to be running that, right? We've seen 𝗹𝗶𝗰𝗸𝗶 extinction 𝗧𝗵𝗺. I think we have not yet seen the 4th move.
Yeah, I think it's a giving. I mean, it's the hardest hitting fire technique, so I would imagine he's running Flaming Meteorite, and at +4 attack, I don't even think Golder's big old thick booty is enough to take that attack. So we'll see. It could just be a free Flaming Meteorite onto that King direction. The only thing stopping this, I guess, if King has Hypnosis and is able to outspeed a Sapphire, but Sapphire usually pretty speedy here.
Yeah, base speed definitely faster on Sapphire's end, and I feel like a speedy King would be a little bit out of place for Tsubaki's current team. Kind of like you had mentioned, the 𝗏𝗶𝗴 was so slow. He's running the Golder, Yowler, Naga team, and Grumper as well, I believe, in the back. So definitely a fast and squishy King is not what I would expect out of Tsubaki here. The 𝗏𝗶𝗴 swap coming through. Feather Gatling connects onto Sapphire, goes before anything else. Nice little +1 speed. Quetzalcoatl, though, saves the Flaming Meatball of Doom for another time. And more relaxed. So now Voloren can't attack next turn, but that team elusive means that 𝗏𝗶𝗴 is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and Sapphire, I believe he had Tailsman, so not able to get Extinction. However, is able to be put to sleep. so isn't able to get off anything. However, 𝗏𝗏𝗺 doesn't mind it too much. It does get to rest here. However, beautiful swap for Tsubaki, threatening out this 𝗏𝗏𝗺 one more time. And I didn't catch if the pig overexerted, but pig has to overexert for a final bamboozle if it wants to protect it for this turn. And then it can protect it for the turn the 𝗏𝗏𝗺 comes online. So not a bad play. Tsubaki is putting Leal in. Maybe thinking about going back to this Voliran final turbo as he overexerts just for the +4. Unless the pig overexerted and I missed it. I thought he still had one more.
I mean, either way, the Keanu swaps in, gives one more protector buff. Leal retreats this pig for a Wylfie of his own. But now 𝗏𝗏𝗺 retreats too. There was no way, right? There was absolutely no way that 𝗏𝗏𝗺 wanted to stick around. So the Keanu is going to eat a DV much better. And the protector buff on the Wylfie kind of mimics what Tsubaki just did. So there was no gain or fallback from either side there on those Keanu buffs.
Yeah, and just like we saw in game number 1, another mirror match, an exact mirror down the center of the battlefield here. So Wylfie Keanu. However, Tsubaki's Wylfie a bit tankier at +2/+2. And we do see Tsubaki has the handcuff pressure, so able to lock in. I believe Leal also has handcuffs. It just isn't revealed just yet. But yeah, none of these tamers have any kind of damage potential. Maybe Wylfie on each other. But they also have Lifeful Sap on each other's respective Temtem. So that's not going to be going all that much. It's just going to be extending a lot of turns. Is that something these tamers want? Or do they want to try to get more aggressive?
I mean, we know that Tsubaki's perfectly happy heading on to turn 30 and taking his time for a solid victory. Leal, with what he said in chat, it sounded like he wanted to do something surprising. We haven't seen it quite yet. We've seen a lot of this buffing, which is also, I guess, surprising, as Luke is a bit more of an aggro player. The Revitalize onto the 𝗏𝗏𝗺 is a very nice swap in, though, and not taking the Plague, not being trapped in, means that 𝗏𝗏𝗺 could either leave or just drop the Flaming Meatball now.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Goldr's in the back line if he wants to go. And jeez, Wylfie is such a raid boss right now. Wylfie, 6 ticks of regen, so 60% still able to tick back up, but it's at +4 defense, +3 special defense. We were mentioning Tsubaki needed to try to catch things up on that Setup department. Didn't spread the love around all his Temtems, but this Wylfie getting 2 stone walls, and I believe, one stone wall and 2 Keanu buffs. Yeah,
absolutely. One stone wall, 2 Keanu buffs, and a lot of Lifeful Sap to go around. This Wylfie, you know, he can take some hits. He can be knocked down, but he's always going to come back at 100% HP.
Yeah, and you know, Wylfie's the only thing stopping Leal from going crazy. If Leal could find a way, and of course, so much easier said than done, if he could find a way of bringing down this Wylfie, 𝗏𝗏𝗺 will be winning the game. +4 attack, 200% increase on 𝗏𝗏𝗺's base attack. That is what he's working with, but Wylfie's the only one keeping that 𝗏𝗏𝗺 in check. So we'll see. I know Leal wants to gun it down, but at this position, Wylfie might be the last Temtem standing for Tsubaki.
You know, it's kind of incredible that this Yowler on Tsubaki's side has not been mentioned one time. In a traditional game, we would say, oh, Luke is looking pretty good. He can take down a lot of these other Temps, but how is he going to handle the Yowler in the end? I think both of us and most of the viewers have just disregarded this Yowler as fodder for the 𝗧𝗵𝗶, where there's not really any difficulties here for Luke to handle anything except for the Wylfie, and that's almost it's iconic, honestly, that Luke was able to buff himself to this extent. This isn't something that you see every day.
Yeah, I see exactly what he meant. He had the double heat up in mind, and the pig doing a lot to keeping that, but here goes a turbo. So that 𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗶 finding himself at +4 speed, so those bamboozles will be popping off, but Tsubaki, just in case Luke Leal wants to play more risky, keeping things straightforward, he had to DV the Sapphire. So catching the 𝗶𝗶 on the entry. Well, maybe that's a stone wall turn now. Either the pig stone wall, bring out Sapphire. Yeah, I see it. You know, 𝗏𝗶𝗴 is out of stamina. Man, are you feeling a stone wall as well, Rawrzyyy?
Yeah, he's kind of set himself up for this perfectly, because now 𝗬𝗎 with that +2 speed will be able to revitalize, hopefully before this Volar end. It is pretty speedy on Tsubaki's side, and it does have the +1. But, you know, potentially 𝗬𝗎 can revitalize Sapphire again afterwards if it takes damage on this Stonewall turn. The pig at +4 is going to be going first with its 1 prio techniques. This is just a really good opportunity for Luke to get +5, +5, +5 onto Sapphire. Maybe even turbo a few times for another +5.
Yeah, not too bad. So doesn't catch the Sapphire just in case that exact thing come out. But no, the relax, keeping the Volar down for the next couple turns. But nothing really goes to sleep past the bird. So hey, 𝗶𝗶𝗴 got the good old hypnosis back. Just a simple hypnosis on the bird. I was thinking stone wall onto Sapphire with the pig, and then at +4 speed pig, you got infinite bamboozles to deal with to brush off those Dust Vortex. But maybe the Volar at +2 speed, yeah, he would have popped the bamboozle first. So yeah, DV would have still gone off. Okay, so yeah, this looks to be better then.
Yeah, I like the moves. I mean, now every single Tem on Luke's side has a little green arrow. They've all received a buff of some kind, so that's a victory in its own. You know, even 𝗬𝗎 and Volar end, it's only the speed, but you know, speed can do quite a lot for both of those Tems.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a victory in the early game. Sapphire does come back out though as Tsubaki retreats this 𝗏𝗏𝗴. That is exactly what Luke Leal was looking for, this opportunity to just attack anything. I mean, it definitely, the 𝗬𝗎 spot is priority number 1 on this attack, and the chain heal. Running that kind of exclusive tech as we only really see it on this 𝗏𝗏𝗴 that Oceara nobody's going to use.
Yeah, so...
And Bob was the other one, I think. That's not very common either.
Yeah, so I think Luke Leal just confirmed that he doesn't have Bush or Sandstorm, because we saw Plague. Oh, no. I think it's Plague, DV, Chain Heal, and Lifeful Sap. So not going for the AoE and not going for the 3 prio Bush. So not too bad, a little bit different, but Chain Heal healing up the Sapphire up to 100 HP. And is it Flaming Meteorite time? Who is going to be eating the brunt of Sapphire's force here?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going towards this 𝗏𝗏𝗴, that's definitely best case for Tsubaki. If it's going towards Volar end, this might be an 𝗂𝗀𝗄.
We'll see. I mean, Volar's at +4 defense as well.
No, the extinction. That just means 𝗏𝗏𝗴's gonna Bush. Or no, I'm sorry, it's Team Elusive. It doesn't even matter. And Volar would have gone down anyway. That was almost a wasted extinction on the +4 attack Sapphire. We just want to see the we want to see the meteorite. That's what we need most in this life.
Yeah, but fair enough to Luke Leal. I think the Doom was the correct play, because Volar's at +4 defense, so it wouldn't be able to one-shot as we would imagine. But yeah, you know, we're not talking about the Yowler or the 𝗬𝗎, because Sapphire has those guys locked in. Well, hey, Doom is not too bad. However, I believe we confirmed the previous game, 𝗏𝗏𝗴 can't self-target. Well, 𝗏𝗏𝗴 could just target the Volar, right? Tsubaki's 𝗏𝗏𝗴 can just plague the Volar to protect from the Doom. I'm pretty sure that's a viable option for Tsubaki.
Yeah, absolutely. Tsubaki doesn't have any of those minus special defenses, so there is no problem whatsoever with targeting this plague. Especially, I mean, 𝗏𝗏𝗴's got to hang out for a few turns anyway. Assume that Sapphire is probably on his way out, but no, everyone stays in. So maybe this is going to be a little bit different. Maybe Sapphire is about to eat a DV. That would be rather terrifying. The plague onto 𝗏𝗏𝗴. Feather Gatling first towards the Sapphire, still outspeeding everyone else. Plague onto the Volar and saving his friend from a very, very terrifying fate. But now everybody's trapped in on Tsubaki's side. Nobody can leave. The Quetzalcoatl did some decent damage. but I don't know if a DV plus Flaming Meteorite is enough to bring this Wolfie down.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Reading Tsubaki super well, knowing that 𝗬𝗺 was no way coming out. Instead, he wanted a Plague, so everything stays in again. So Flaming Meteorite for the final 40%. No, actually just goes for Embers there.
Oh, it is an overexertion though on this Wolfie for the Lifeful Sap. That means, you know, the cage, the trap is gone. He can leave now. He can just take his heals and come back again stronger with that +4. Oh man, that is such good plays from Tsubaki to just keep Wolfie alive. And Leal really just playing that stamina game with this Campfire, just trying not to overexert and give free damage away, but still very strong, very edgy almost to keep this Campfire in versus all of these potential DVs.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, Campfire stayed in an entire 2 turns facing off of Wolfie while it had 𝗬𝗺 online. Tsubaki just didn't think Leal would play so risky of leaving a Campfire in for 2 turns straight, so never deployed the 𝗬𝗺. So a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of risky plays, but some of these risks are paying off for the side of Luke. But let's see, Wolfie does retreat as it has 60% increase left on that HP throughout the next 6 turns.
Yeah, but this means Qiinu gets to come in and give one more buff, potentially going unpunished. Nox Bomb from this Voliran towards this Campfire does some decent damage, as we haven't seen as many Stonewalls as you would predicted we would see. So there is no there's no Stonewalls actually at all. It's just the +1/+1 from the Qiinu buff prior. Campfire probably needs to get hit by another chain heal and then revitalize.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, Campfire rested there, so Flaming Meteorite, you know, maybe is not even on the toolkit. So just a 𝗬𝗺 still at +4 attack will be able to do so much. So out comes the Golder. Maybe it's extinction time, but I don't know. Tsubaki has such a great answer for it. Oh,
more rests from everybody. That was odd.
Yeah, I think everyone's just trying to play, ignoring that overexertion. So Voliran maybe had to overexert if Wolfie plague into that, which is why Tsubaki rested. But Leal, knowing that, or maybe feeling that he would go for that, just trying to get some stamina of his own. So the double rest, not too bad for Luke.
Man, this Wolfie is already back up to 36%. It's got 4 more turns of this Lifeful Sap to go. HKS though, Campfire stays in even longer. Oh, and just barely holds on at 2%. This Goulder has got to be killing it. Extinction, I mean, it's a good play now. It does do what it needs to do. I mean, but now how does he kill Wolfie? The chain heal is nice, but the Toxic Ink is still going to be enough to get the kill on the Campfire. I don't think that we saw any benefit of the double heat up on this Campfire, did we? There was some attacks into Wolfie that's just been healed back up, and then just a couple of extinctions.
Yeah, it's almost a net 0. That double heat up looking so beautiful early on. So much so we weren't even talking about any of the other backline Temtems. But now they kind of look a little bit better. This Yowler coming into effect. Maybe the only best Temtem able to get through Leal's Wolfie. But it is turn 19 and we got our very first death. This is a heck of a long con endgame style type of game style here. Sapphire does go down, unfortunately for the side of Leal, so Tsubaki looking a bit better. However, that extinction was to throw Tsubaki for a loop. Now he has to figure out how the heck is he clearing 2 Dooms from 2 Temtems with only 1 Wolfie around. So one of those Tems has to 100% fall down.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Voliran is the better choice here, so it is going to be Wolfie coming in for the Goulder. Just going to target down this Voliran with Plague next turn, save its life.
Oh!
Sacrificing into the Voliran on the other side,
yeah.
So probably not a misclick, more so just saying, you know, it's been 11 hours.
Yeah. Luke Leal is tired. He says, no more, Tsubaki. You got this. Go ahead and win it for us here in the lower bracket. Tsubaki holding the pride of the entire losers bracket, including Luke Leal himself. So Tsubaki, that should be GGGG. He will be making the triumphant appearance against Faiman. Time for the Plus Cup number 10. Let's go into game number 1.
Yeah, so immediately for Faiman, I think he has to ban this Naga. I think there is no way around it. I don't know, maybe Goulder as well, though. This Tsubaki does have a pretty solid team just with those two. There is still a Grumper for Faiman, but, you know, that's always easier said than done when staring down a 𝗏𝗶𝗴. 𝗏𝗏𝗴 and a Yowler. I mean, that 𝗏𝗏𝗽𝗶𝗺 is going to do quite a lot of damage, even without the stab.
Yeah, and you know, this was the only Scunch we saw played out of all these tamers, but it looks like it's going to be catching the first ban. Tsubaki knows how powerful this Scunch is, and even though he has a 𝗂𝗀 and 𝗵𝗀𝗀 to also deal with it, doesn't want anything to do with it, so does ban it. And Faiman banning out the Nagas, because that's just a really, really good Temtem against his board. And man, Tsubaki, time and time again, picking up this 𝗏𝗏𝗴, feeling so strong. How does Faiman answer it though?
I mean, with all these fire Tems, Faiman, he has the right idea. He's able to at least pressure out the 𝗂𝗀 so it can't stay in on turn 1, and doesn't really want to swap in again in the future. So this lead is pretty solid. He's got that Synergy Master water cannon with those toxic ticks that he can start it off with, followed up by a Quetzaleno and Noxious Bomb. That would definitely be enough to kill this 𝗏𝗏𝗴 if he's able to do it before the buffs get out of hand.
Yeah, exactly right. And with this opener, the Fire 𝗂𝗽𝗍 with the Voldaren, you're able to gun down the 𝗂𝗀 from that opener. So Tsubaki either has to retreat the 𝗂𝗀, or if it doesn't, Faiman also has Water Cannon synergy with the Toxic typing next to him. So, you know, even if you don't go for Quetzal, you at least get 25% guaranteed damage from those Toxic ticks alone, which is not too shabby. But alright, gonna be picking the Grumper. This is getting interesting here.
Yeah, so Grumper's a really good pick. I mean, the Water Cannon will still do some decent damage, but probably not 50 on its own. So it would need the Toxic ticks in order to kill this Grumper. And in the meantime, it would do quite a lot of damage to either spot on Faiman's side.
Yeah, you know what? I think Tsubaki has a slight edge early on. Something like a Plague Thunderstrike onto the 𝗂𝗽𝗍, I believe, brings it all the way down. So no more Synergy Master for anything in the back line. And no more Quetzalenos to gun down these Voldaren or the 𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗃 or the Yowler for that matter. So I think Tsubaki, slight advantage, because you agree, right, Rawrzyyy? Plague plus a Thunderstrike onto this Fire 𝗂𝗽𝗍, most likely going all the way down, right? Or really close to it.
Yeah, I think that would absolutely kill this 𝗂𝗽𝗍. The Thunderstrike on its own is probably 60-70%, so it would be the end of a 𝗂𝗽𝗍. I think Tsubaki just has all of the options in the world right now, because if Tsubaki is spec to kill a 𝗂𝗽𝗍 in 2 plagues, or maybe with a little bit of help from a friend later on, he could even just retreat this Grumper for Volerend or for Goulder and be perfectly happy taking the turn 1 water cannon. It wouldn't do anything to either of those Tems. So Goulder is the one that gets picked. This 𝗵𝗀𝗀 could even be a decent one to come into that spot, but I think Tsubaki just has a fantastic turn 1.
Yeah, and we tend to see some of these games get decided as early as turn 1 T2, so we will see. Ladies and gents, though, it is time. Grand finals. Faiman on the winner side. Tsubaki coming in from the loser side. Who is going to be taking it here? Final series of our monthly tournament. Let's see. I mean, Faiman, no newcomer to the seat. He's been in the finals position before, but he has just been one opponent shy. Faiman hasn't grabbed his first tournament victory. It could be here. He's 1 game up. Tsubaki, on the other hand, he has won 7. Yes, for those new guys here, he has won 7 tournaments in our series. Is this gonna be number 8? I mean, he's a couple games away, so both of these guys have a lot on the line. And more importantly, the little bit of a bragging rights that you say you were the champion. So let's see, what does Faiman have for the 𝗂𝗽𝗫? And everything stays in. Okay.
Yeah, Feather Gatling towards this Grumper for a measly 8% and the minus special defense, potentially game-breaking here. Yeah, the Plague. The Plague is probably just to confirm the kill on Voliren as well, but instead, no, it is the Snare Voliren. Maybe not expecting that to come through, so it does take this Thunderstrike on this first turn. I was expecting maybe trap it in, Thunderstrike the 𝗂𝗽𝗫, and then Electric Storm turn 2 for a double kill. But no, this is still pretty good. Voliren just barely hangs on. It was able to snare the handcuffs, which is fantastic for Faiman. That's probably the #1 item that he wanted to snare immediately. We do also see that the sweatband on Grumper is pretty interesting and potentially going to do a lot of work into some of these Tems that aren't very strong against this Grumper. You know, the Raiken taking any of those earth techniques, Momo just in general with, you know, strong neutral damage on the Grumper, and then of course the 𝗂𝗽𝗫.
There we go. And hey, Tsubaki saying, you know, if I take down this Voliren now, that Golder in his back line is feeling so much more comfortable. It's his only win Tem, so I see why Tsubaki elected to gun down this bird. As you said, it cost him his handcuff, but it costed Faiman 85% damage. And so much so that he might just have to sacrifice the bird. But alright, Grumper does retreat into this Golder, maybe expecting another water cannon. Let's take a look.
Yeah, the HKS, though, it does target down this 𝗂𝗶𝗴 instead of the Golder with some pretty decent damage, but potentially in the wrong spot. 𝗀𝗀𝗺 doubling up. It's not quite enough to bring down this 𝗂𝗶𝗴, but it is still very low into the red. The DV is enough to bring down Voliren. But Tsubaki definitely having a very different game than what we just saw. This has been very aggressive so far with all of these attacking techniques, no buffing whatsoever.
Yeah, no Kinus to be found. I believe they caught the bans earlier on, or I wasn't exactly seeing. But alright, Does Vortex was just used. That mean is not online, so taking advantage of that one turn ability to bring in this Raiken, not too shabby. So yeah, 𝗂𝗶𝗴 has to retreat, or else you risk getting a prideful buff onto this Raiken. But this Golds are feeling such a problem for Faiman. Voliren got taken care of very, very early, so this Golder, if it gets one stone wall or something from something like this Grumper, it's gonna be almost impossible for Faiman to overcome it. But we'll see, we'll see. I mean, enough physical damage could start adding up.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Faiman should just double into this 𝗂𝗶𝗴 spot, expecting the swap and just wanting to do damage to Yeller or 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. It would risk losing the prideful buff if 𝗂𝗽𝗫's 𝗀𝗀𝗺 is able to kill this 𝗂𝗶𝗴. Then Raiken would just have a very measly, very high attack, but no +1 𝗀𝗀𝗺 onto Golder.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be pretty high risk, high reward, I think.
And hey, 𝗂𝗶𝗴 decides to go down swinging, so plaguing the 𝗂𝗽𝗫. You don't get trapped because his handcuff, but of course the hypnosis nullifying any kind of toxic ink. But the 𝗀𝗀𝗺 prideful buff is online. That is really good for the side of Faiman here.
Yeah, absolutely. You get yourself a prideful buff. You don't take the toxic ink onto 𝗂𝗽𝗫 right away. But now 𝗂𝗽𝗫 is probably not wanting to stick it out and stay in for much longer. There is a Grumper in the back for Faiman, so that is a pretty good swap in for this 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. But of course, you know, you don't really want Raiken to take any hard-hitting special attack techniques.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, beautiful hypnosis. I mean, Tsubaki hitting the board with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 interference on the side of Faiman, and it is a chamomile grumper. Not too bad.
And Yowler coming out saying hello as well. That means 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗶𝗵 will be available for the following turn. 𝗬𝗀𝗻𝗄 on the 𝗵𝗺 is just shy of 50%, so that is pretty unfortunate for this Raigan. Beta Burst brings him down to 65, but now it's kind of the same situation as we saw prior. This is, for Tsubaki, pretty controlling, I think. I mean, 𝗵𝗺 is a pretty safe swap in for 𝗵𝗺, and 𝗀𝗟 can just punish this 𝗵𝗺 if he wants to stay in with an 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗍.
Exactly right, or even worse, could just try to go for a savage suplex on this Raiken, because Raiken is one of Faiman's biggest damage dealers. You deal with Raiken, you're feeling really good about this game. But yeah, I agree with you. And man, something to point out, 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺 𝗵𝗺, not even 50% from a prideful proc Raiken. So +1 attack on that Raiken, not even going 50%. 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺 is absurd on a 𝗵𝗺. Very impressive stuff. I believe Tsubaki one of the first to play 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺 on their 𝗵𝗺. I haven't seen that too often.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen it like scattered, you know, maybe 1 or 2 times in the past, but it definitely has not been a popular choice. But it's definitely those kind of unique and niche gear placements that separate players like 𝗬𝗵𝗺𝗺 and Tsubaki from a lot of the other, not more common, not like not in a negative connotation, but some of the more common teams and more typical spreads that we would see. You know, it's using things that are out of the box that just make you survive something and hit back even harder. That makes you the #1 player.
Oh, and almost enough to bring it down, but not even with the neutral. One more time. 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺𝗃 OP, giving 𝗀𝗟 a free show off. I mean, I thought he had the kill onto Raiken, but hey, no damage done on this 𝗀𝗟. +1 attack feels very good, especially considering Faiman has no mental pressure, aka not a lot of damage onto this 𝗀𝗟. So it's looking good. It's looking good for the side of Tsubaki. If the Raiken would have got the kill on 𝗵𝗺, Faiman would be looking very, very good. But the fact that it missed it by that 2%, able to get off another attack here, something like an energy manipulation if it wants to. Or I guess it could just retreat for the 𝗂𝗪.
Yeah, I mean, if Faiman had 𝗂𝘀 instead of Raiken, that was potentially enough after a Synergy Master. But it was just barely not there with the normal 𝗬𝗀𝗻𝗄 synergy. It only gives, I think, +5 more damage. So it just wasn't enough this time. The 𝗵𝗺 comes in. This is actually a pretty solid play. I don't think 𝗵𝗺 is going to go down. But the undermine onto 𝗀𝗟 was so detrimental, down to 42%. Following that up with, I mean, any attacks from this Momo, it would be enough. But no, the Savage Suplex! The comebacker proc, it's more than enough. Momo falls down just like that. And Tsubaki turns it back around to the Tem advantage.
Yeah, you know, did not come down too easy. I mean, Momo doing almost 60% on that base statted 𝗀𝗟, so not all that bad, but comebacker value is insane. Just 100 all the way to 0 for this Momo. Well done, and Tsubaki, as you said, looking fairly good. Of course, Faiman swinging as much as he can as well. Tsubaki 3 Temtems under 50%. 2 of those being well into that red HP. Alright, 𝗵𝗺 coming out one more time. However, 𝗀𝗟's 𝗧𝗵𝗺𝗺𝗍 is online. Now, is this a good bait and switch here?
I think that if he wanted to bait and switch, it would have been better to just bring 𝗂𝘀 out and attack anyway. Because this swap just means that you're going to be taking a very strong attack from this 𝗵𝗺 that you would rather not take on the 𝗂𝘀. And if 𝗂𝘀 had already been in, then it could have just been the water cannon threat.
Yeah, unless he thinks he could kill the 𝗀𝗟 here. Oh, but it's an Embers instead of 𝗬𝗀. Can a Thunderstrike 20%? Ah, no, it catches the 𝗂𝗪. So Hibernate does come out on the final turn of Chamomile. Not too bad, coming up all the way to 60. It is so broken how fast it does that. How crazy HP regen. What is that, 40% regen?
Yeah, it is so outstanding. And when you've got that chamomile on the 𝗀𝗟 and you don't have to handle that freeze, you just get all your stamina, all your HP back, and you get to fight even more with one of the strongest Tems in the game. And it's pretty unfortunate for Faiman if he had just taken the overexertion, potentially risked Raiken's life to get that 𝗧𝗃. It would have been the end of 𝗬𝗨, but now, you know, potentially in a worse position, potentially taking a lot more damage because it would be forced double in on this spot to bring down 𝗬𝗨 this turn.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Faiman was considering that he didn't want to attack into a swapping in 𝗀𝗪, but now that 𝗀𝗪 has been taken care of, the 𝗧𝗃, look how much damage that did. That would have easily brought it down last turn. Thunderstrike 23, and it is out of here. All right, Faiman taking such a big threat down. Things are looking okay for the side of Faiman.
But now this Toxic Ink onto Raiken, getting that kill, that means that there can't be any more chamomile procs for this 𝗵𝗶. There's no more immunity. This 𝗂𝗪 toxic ticks are going to do damage. And I think that might have been what Faiman needed in order to kill 𝗂𝗪 in time, was just get chamomile again, get a couple of free Thunderstrikes.
Man, it all came down to 2 turns ago. If Faiman would have made the read there of Mud Showerings or Thunderstriking the 𝗬𝗨, leaving the 𝗵𝗶 to swap out for 𝗂𝗡, that next turn would have ended up paying off. But no, it looks like just wanting to get the kill on the 𝗵𝗶, which he's going to get now. So there it goes. 𝗵𝗶 does fall. But I agree with you, Rawrzyyy. 𝗂𝗪 doesn't seem to be going down anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, the Rainbow Guard is nice on this 𝗂𝗡. That means that, you know, for the following or previous turn, there was no damage dealt. And for this turn, there can't be any toxic ticks. But a Toxic Ink is going to do a lot of damage on its own. And Rainbow Guard means that there's no fin beat for no low stamina usage techniques to kill this 𝗵𝗺. The Goring 𝗵𝗶, you gotta love the tech. Going for that prio just wasn't fast enough to outspeed an 𝗵𝗵. But the Hypnosis from this 𝗂𝗡 onto 𝗂𝗪 means that Rainbow Guard's available again. 𝗵𝗺 can rest for a little bit, try to get its stamina back. Faiman might be able to pull this one through. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, of course, 𝗂𝗪, he's at base stats, so, you know, we're used to seeing 𝗂𝗪s with a couple Kinu buffs, and yes, it's super tanky, but this is a 2v1 we're talking about. With the Hypnosis pressure from this 𝗂𝗡, I think Faiman will be taking it away, but it's not going to be super easy. Does 𝗂𝗪 want to attack 𝗵𝗺, letting Faiman waste a Rainbow Guard? Does Faiman want to read the Toxic Ink going into 𝗵𝗺 and just 𝗧𝗃 the 𝗂𝗪 for damage? It's a little bit of rock, paper, scissors here. Okay, Faiman choosing Toxic Ink is going onto the 𝗂𝗡 here.
On itself, so that's a bit of stamina usage, but that means that there can't be the Hypnosis next turn. But 𝗂𝗡 still has its immunity, so it's, I mean, a Toxic Ink is only as good as the damage it can deal. It won't have any of those toxic ticks.
Yeah, and we'll pay attention because 1 Mud Showers did 15%.
Wait, Goring!
Wow.
Goring went first, so Hypnosis was able to... That was fantastic from Faiman. That made me very happy.
Yeah, usually 𝗵𝗺's the slowest Temtem, but Goring making that 1 prio, or sorry, that 3 prio move hitting before the 𝗂𝗡. Not too shabby, guys. I believe this is the most value we've ever seen from a Goring on a 𝗵𝗺. Actually, we saw Goring get a kill. Forgive me. Goring on a kill was insanity, but this is very close to it. Got a Goring for the 𝗵𝗺 and a Goring to pop the bamboozle, so of course a double rest. And now we're back at the exact same position. Does Tsubaki want to Toxic Ink the 𝗵𝗺? Does he just go for a bamboozle on himself again? I think Faiman 100% wins this now, looking at it.
I'm not sure. I mean, the Toxic Ink onto 𝗵𝗺 is definitely the way to go. It has to rest. You're just going to deal that damage. But now, I mean, Faiman has to choose because he's probably not going to be able to stall this one out all the way until turn 30. He's got to do the damage, and I don't know if he's going to have that good opportunity. 𝗧𝗃 is going to use so much of the stamina on 𝗂𝗡 that he's just not going to be able to do anything about that. He's going to have to try and stall.
Yeah, if this was a situation where the 𝗂𝗍 would be going after the Grumper, you know, hypnoing after the Grumper attack, that is an easy GG. But the simple fact of the 𝗂𝗍 going first with the Hypno, not letting Grumper attack because you're going to wake up the Golder, that is what's causing a lot of trouble for the side of Faiman. So if Faiman's just trying to do a bit of a dance here, 𝗧𝗏𝗺 70 all the way to 45, so about 35. This is 14, so down to 30. All right, things are getting somewhere reasonable. Actually, that's GG. One more 𝗧𝗏 plus one more Mud Showers. GG. Golder can't survive. Bamboozle goes last.
Absolutely, he found that perfect time where Tsubaki just couldn't predict which turn the 𝗧𝗏 would come through. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Golder is just not able to survive. Everyone's faster on Faiman's side. And now that's technically 2-0 in favor of Faiman.
That is right. So Faiman starting off the match with one victory as he was in the winner's side. Tsubaki still needing 3 games left in order to be crowned the champion.
Let Faiman take the easy victory. He's got to fight for it, and he definitely fought for it last time. It was very close in the end. The goring was incredible.
Yeah, you know, goring is just one technique you would never expect your opponent to come through with, especially on a Grumper. So yeah, I can agree, Rawrzyyy. I believe that caught Tsubaki a bit by surprise. But you know what? Tsubaki officially at the biggest comeback he has to do. Of course, as we said, he's been making the comeback this entire tournament, and now he has to make a huge comeback. Faiman at game point. One more victory, and this is his tournament winnings. If not, Tsubaki has to go 3 back-to-back-to-back. So we will see. This is the ultimate comeback Tsubaki has to do. But if there's anyone that could do it, it will be Tsubaki here.
Yeah, of course. Tsubaki's taken down 6 other competitors to make it back to this point. You know, Faiman, a couple less. You know, he's still had a pretty difficult run. He still had a lot of really good players to defeat, and they were in best of 3s. So he's played his fair share of matches as well. But just saying that number, Tsubaki's taking down 6 players today. That's incredible.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, nothing to slouch at too. Best of 3 series are quite draining. But yeah, Tsubaki versus opponent after opponent in those best of 1s also quite draining. Well, this is it. All the energy just saved up for these final moments. It is the grand final. So these guys just got to stay with that concentration a little bit more, and then they can finally get some good rest. But Faiman picking up these double fire Temtems, and that is a heck of an opener. If that wasn't a strange 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗵 would have gone down very, very fast. But now Skunch is feeling the pressure since you can't kill the 𝗵𝗵𝗶 in one go like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is for Tsubaki. If he brings this Golder, it's the freest Golder swap we've ever seen. You know, it'll take some damage, but it won't be the end of the world. He's the buffiest, bulkiest Tem. He's squishy in a weird way too, not in the typical sense where we say like a 𝗵𝗵𝗶 is pretty squishy, it dies quickly. He's so squishy that he just deflects all of the hits.
Are you trying to say will you give Golder a little pinch? A little squishy squish?
Really early on, I think I was talking to 𝗵𝗆 in the Divine Discord. He was telling me about the Golders that they were using over there, and I may have asked if we could give it a hug, see what it felt like.
There we go. I'm always a fan of petting Golder. You guys know that. But Golder does indeed get recruited as the final Temtem. It was the final Temtem surviving in their game number 1. So as Tsubaki had in plan, you gun down the bird, Golder feels a lot more better. But you know, Faiman had other answers to it, the Grumper and the 𝗂𝗍 at the very end, giving Tsubaki some trouble. So we'll see. It's not completely just kill the Volerant and you win, but it gives Golder way better of a shot. So we will see.
Yeah, now, I mean, between this Drakash and Momo, I think either of them would be perfectly fine. Momo, a little bit less happy staring down a Yowler who does win that 1v1, along with 2 mental Tems. But, you know, Drakash also doesn't love to be taking any of those Oshidashis or DVs. So it's It's a bit of a toss-up. I think, personally, I like the 𝗧𝗃𝗃 a little bit more. The Synergy Master 𝗧𝗵𝗺ires would do quite a lot of damage to all of these Temps, especially the 𝗵𝗺 with the Strange Fest.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not a big... I like Momo too, but that's double mental going to Momo, so does decide to go 𝗧𝗃𝗃. And you know, this is exactly what he recruited on his team to do. Triple fire on his full roster and triple fire on his recruited roster. Is this going to be his pathway to success? The triple fires taking home a monthly tournament? Or is Tsubaki going to bring things back? If only he had one water Temtem. Where's the 𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗺s at?
Yeah, that almost seems weird. In Takuma meta, there were always 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃s everywhere, Whiplumps as well. The water was prevalent, but now there's none. Now Tsubaki's got all this nature, a little bit of earth, some mental, some wind, some toxic, but no water to fight these fires.
I'm just thinking of the good old SpongeBob meme right now. The water. That's what Tsubaki's feeling. But we'll see. Keeping it back to the game. Turn 1. Tsubaki has a lot of pressure onto that Skunch spot. So much so that Skunch most likely has to retreat. So what does he want to retreat for? I mean, nothing feels all that great. Maybe the Volrin feels a bit good. Because you can't let the Skunch just die. Unless Faiman is going to be that risky, thinking Tsubaki's just going to go into the Riken here. But that's a little bit too risky, I want to say.
I think, as far as Tsubaki's concerned, you know, this is a Strange Fest 𝗵𝗺 with +1 defense. There is no world where 𝗵𝗺 is risking its life by staying in and clicking Beta Burst on Skunch. And there's no downside if, you know, a swap for any of these other fire Tems or the Volaren comes through and you just get that free damage. So I think every single day Tsubaki is targeting down that Skunch spot with the Beta Burst. And yeah, swapping out this Kinu likely for the Gulder.
So not too bad. Gulder, just in case it was the Fire Course, but 𝗧𝗃𝗃 is just taking about 27%. The 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃 gonna be catching this Gulder. Not too bad, about 20% or so right there. But yeah, 𝗵𝗺 not taking any damage that turn. Tornado is online. So is Hellfire with the fire synergy right next to him. But not gonna be doing... Actually, wait a minute, Rawrzyyy. This is a strange vest 𝗵𝗺. 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃 is a special attacker, so this Hellfire is gonna be doing a whole lot of damage, even at +1 defense, making that special defense. Yeah, maybe that's what Faiman had in mind, right?
If this 𝗂𝗽 swaps in, that is essentially negating that +1 on this 𝗵𝗺. I mean, Kinu would have to swap back in, but then if Kinu swaps in to a Hellfire, Kinu is also swapping out of the game. So that might be a little bit too much of a risk to try and save the 𝗵𝗺. It might just have to be a swap out for Tsubaki.
Oh, the 𝗵𝗺 stayed in. Let's take a look. 100. Oh, it barely took any damage.
All right, Tornado does target down this Riken, as it is the much lower special defense of the two. 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃 targeting the 𝗵𝗺 down as well, only to 44% though. That 𝗵𝗺 took this very well. I think that is a max HP, max special defense, max defense.
Yeah,
there's 1500 TVs here.
We have never seen a 𝗵𝗺 take so little damage. It's throwing me off a little bit. Like, what TVs does Tsubaki have on this 𝗵𝗺? I expected little to zero damage from physical techniques, but being able to mitigate a special attack from the synergy as well on this from this 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃, it did about 20-25% at the best. So I'm impressed, and you know, still dishing out damage nonetheless too. So, you know, maybe building this 𝗵𝗺 very similar to how he had his 𝗵𝗃𝗃 build a couple weeks ago, where he wouldn't really go special attack, just relying on like base special attack and just bulks him up for these exact situations. 𝗵𝗺 usually runs away staring down a Riken in a 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃, but 𝗵𝗺 just holding his ground and able to most likely get a tornado kill here. Or maybe it did a tornado, I can't recall.
Yeah, he did use Tornado previously onto the Raiken, so it is a good time to swap, bring this 𝗏𝗏 and the King in. Okay, so King does get this buff, but it is not very happy, as those are two very scary fire Tems, one of which would get a prideful buff upon its death. The Fire Tornado, though, targeting down this 𝗏𝗏, does only about 29%. The 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗀 as well, double in on this 𝗏𝗏 spot. It's more than 50%. So 𝗏𝗏's definitely not happy to stick around, but 𝗧𝗏𝗺 doesn't have Fire Tornado again, and Raiken probably goes down before it can 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗀 again.
Yeah, the only thing that he can do would be bring in a Scunch for the 3 prio, but that's not going to be enough to kill the 𝗏𝗏 outright. So yeah, beautiful swap one more time for Tsubaki, bringing out that King, buffing up the 𝗏𝗏. Otherwise, he would have at least been to like 30% or so, so not too bad. And good recognition, knowing that all that damage was gunning down the Bornchi, not the Golder. So King getting away with not murder, but with supporting the murderer. Because, you know, a Fire Tornado plus a 𝗧𝗏 onto the King slot, aka that Golder slot, would have easily brought King all the way down. So good understanding for Tsubaki. And now could just retreat the King one more time for the Golder, just to save that King if he wants.
Yeah, I feel like King could probably stay and just go for the beta burst onto Raiken. It's probably the calculation that Tsubaki's making, but nah, maybe it's not enough to kill. He does retreat it now, doesn't want to take that risk. Golder instead, much better at taking damage, is kind of built for this. Faiman retreating Raiken as well for this Volerend, expecting, you know, maybe the Plague, maybe the DV, or maybe just wanting to be in a better position to fight this Golder the next turn. The Hellfire just wanted to kill that King if it did stay in, force that punishment, but 𝗧𝗏𝗺 overexerts in the process. And 𝗏𝗏, instead of being vengeful, instead of blood dripping from its teeth, it just decides to heal itself and probably leave.
Yeah, that seems to be the game plan for Tsubaki's 𝗏𝗏 here. Just get a lot of King buffs, get either one Stonewall, and then just do a little damage here whenever you can, and then just sit back in the back line and recover all that HP. Essentially, it's over 100 HP if it retreats right now. But yeah, fully healthy 𝗏𝗏 once it retreats. However, this Golder not feeling too comfortable. The Volerend on Faiman's side, such a good swap in, so good stuff for Faiman. One Feather Gatling most likely takes it all the way down, but maybe it turns into King here. But 𝗧𝗏𝗺, no, 𝗧𝗏𝗺 overexerted, so only coming out from this Volerend spot is what Faiman has. So not too much to think about. Maybe 𝗏𝗏 could just rest and then just get the Does Vortex online next turn. Or actually, no, it's online this turn.
Yeah, absolutely. He did click Life Full Sap previously, so DV is available, and 𝗧𝗏𝗺 is definitely the target. And really, Faiman doesn't have anyone that can take that. It would either be a sacrificial Raiken or pray that Scunch is able to survive, but that's going to be a lot of damage onto a Tem that doesn't have the best special defense.
Alright, so that overexerted 𝗧𝗏𝗺 does come out. It's going to be the low HP Raiken though, so a bit fearful if the Golder wants to go in that direction. But wait a minute, is Tsubaki going to be doing a double swap Yowler? And wow, incredible. So Yowler King buffing up this big old Yowler Temtem, and that feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a little bit of a limitation now, is Yowler's got to stay on the field if it wants to maintain these buffs. But I mean, if we've learned anything about Yowler in this game over these last few months, it's that he is very happy staying on the field. Even if he's not attacking, even if he just clicks Show Off or clicks Rest, that gets him a little bit closer to Hibernate. That gets him a lot closer to Savage Suplex and Oshi over and over and over again.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, now this bird, without HKS, maybe wants to retreat to something like a Scunch, but King retreats as well, so he's able to save it. In it comes the 𝗏𝗏 one more time, so let's see what Tsubaki had in mind. But no, the Volerend stays in, gunning down the 𝗏𝗏, so very, very little damage there.
It is the +1 speed, so that's a nice little buff. The 𝗧𝗵𝗶 as well does some damage onto 𝗬𝗵𝗶, and 𝗀𝗨, of course, fights back, brings down that low HP sacrificial Raiken. There are a few choices here that work out for Faiman. 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴 is definitely one of them. I think 𝗬𝗵𝗃 was the other that would have been okay. Just, you know, try to get some perfect jabs onto this 𝗬𝗵𝗶, reduce that Kiinu buff that it received prior so that it's a little bit easier to kill. But now Volirandt, -2 special defense. It's a little bit afraid of this 𝗬𝗵𝗶 now. I think the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 plus HKS has got to kill 𝗬𝗵𝗶, or else Volirandt is potentially dead from a double-in.
Yeah, we will see. It is at -2 special defense. So yeah, a simple plague slash does vortex should do a good amount, but no, saving that HKS down the road. Here comes the neutral synergy for the 3 prio move. But 𝗬𝗵𝗶 not having none of that. Instead, it will be the Kiinu. So where did the 𝗧𝗵𝗃 go? Is it into the 𝗬𝗵𝗶 spot?
Yeah, the 𝗧𝗵𝗃, it does hit this Kiinu. It is enough to bring him down. No sacrifices, no more Kiinu buffs, but there definitely have been enough to go around. This 𝗀𝗨 receiving 2 of them, along with the show-off now. He is so beefy, and he still has 100% HP.
Yeah, it's gonna be so tough for the side of Faiman to bring down that bear. I don't really see it. I mean, if there's one tempt, then maybe 𝗬𝗃 can do it. But you know, Tsubaki seemingly okay with that Kiinu loss there, because now it's just 100% free 𝗵𝗺 coming out. So we'll see. Synergy Master is online for the 𝗂𝘀𝗶. 𝗬𝗃 and 𝗂𝘀𝗶 looks to be going first compared to like a beta burst. So maybe P-Jab 𝗧𝗵𝗃 might put the 𝗵𝗺 under before a single beta burst comes out. But that might be a bit risky. We've been seeing 𝗵𝗺 survive so many physical attacks.
Yeah, we've been seeing 𝗵𝗺 survive so many attacks of every kind. the 𝗧𝗵𝗃 did so little with the physical, the 𝗬𝗏fire did so little with the special, and he's still just hanging out. He still has so much pressure. The 𝗬𝗏dashi onto this 𝗵𝗺 is not going to do very much at all. Doubling in, as long as this 𝗧𝗃 is able to go first, yeah, it is the prio. It is enough to go first, and with the Synergy Master, it is enough this time to take down the 𝗵𝗺. But that means 𝗀𝗨's Savage Suplex. It is free to roam, free to target as it wishes, and free to do 70% damage to this 𝗂𝘀𝗶.
Yeah, and that is no comebacker added on top of that, so good stuff. And yeah, 𝗬𝗃 just had to do any kind of damage. I'm surprised the 𝗵𝗺 didn't even get off a 𝗬𝗏 though. Unless the 𝗬𝗃 and 𝗂𝘀𝗶 were that freaking fast, but a 𝗬𝗏 I feel like should have just done a little bit of damage onto the 𝗬𝗃. But we'll see. Final 3 Temtems versus, oh, okay, 3 to 4. Oh, wait a minute. 𝗀𝗨's buffed up. 𝗬𝗏's decently buffed up. Is Faiman gonna be taking this home? He just met 𝗂𝗍-dashi, so 𝗬𝗏 feels okay. But I think Savage Suplex looks like it does about the same as well. So maybe 𝗬𝗏 gonna be going down here shortly too.
Yeah, I think Savage Suplex plus another 𝗧𝗵𝗃, the 𝗧𝗵𝗃 would be the end of this 𝗂𝘀𝗶, absolutely. And then you've got a pretty big concern that is this 𝗀𝗨. But I mean, otherwise, if 𝗬𝗃 is able to survive as 𝗬𝗏 dies and get the easy kill onto Gul'dir, it might also be able to get a very big Savage Suplex or 𝗂𝗍-dashi onto 𝗀𝗨, and that might be enough to turn the tables, combining with an HKS. 𝗦𝗂𝗽𝗆chi though, so it is running the double melee techniques. It puts 𝗀𝗨 to sleep, doesn't want to take these hits this turn, and the Volirandt, it is the -2 special defense, but it still takes that fairly well, only doing about 22% damage from the plague. But it is just letting this 𝗬𝗏 heal more and more and more.
Yeah, not too bad. So beautiful swap in for Faiman. It looks like Faiman just making the sharper reads here. 𝗦𝗂𝗽𝗆chi, you could never expect the 𝗂𝗍-dashi 𝗬𝗃 to have 𝗦𝗂𝗽𝗆chi on top of that. So maybe not even running. Wait a minute. What the heck is he not running? It's either P-Jab or Ninja Jutsu. I'm impressed.
It would definitely be the ninja, because we saw P-Jab prior with some of the 𝗧𝗵𝗃 leads.
All right. I feel like Skunch is so good with the ninja jutsu, but all right. Maybe it was another Skunch we saw with ninja jutsu, but I'm impressed. Uchi paying value there. I did not expect that coming out. But now 𝗏𝗲𝗃𝗃 one more time online. This Wolfie wants nothing to do with that. Let's see if he stays in. It looks like he's not.
Yeah, potentially Faiman read this too. And yeah, the HKS onto the Goulder. That's going to be enough to bring it down in absolute. But now what does Skunch do? Did Skunch click the Savage Suplex or the Oshidashi? Does it even matter, as Yowler might just kill it with a comebacker? It is Oshidashi. He's used up that attack. It's not available anymore for the following turn. The Savage Suplex back towards the Skunch. And yes, 100-0, Oko after Oko. This Yowler is a madman.
Yeah, and things are looking dicey for the side of Faiman. This Yowler, as you said, looking like the MVP Tsubaki needed. Back-to-back one-hit KOs. Savage Suplex plus comebacker. Way too strong. And now he has to deal with the Wolfie without a Oshidashi. So that is rough. Does Tsubaki bring this back for himself? Or does Faiman 3 remaining Temtems have enough in that gas tank? I'm not too sure. I mean, these are 2 Temtems Tsubaki made sure to buff up a little bit.
I think I'm a little bit worried that Faiman just used HKS. He really went all in on that Wolfie staying and taking those hits. And Tsubaki, with that pretty easy swap, sacrifice the Goulder, means that Skunch is gone. HKS is not available this turn, which means unless Voloran swaps out, it's going to die. And that puts Faiman in a pretty difficult situation, because we've seen already Fire Tornado onto this Wolfie is not going to be enough to take it down. And it's really, I mean, without the synergy on 𝗂𝗍𝗄 and with no Synergy Master Hellfire available, I think that Wolfie on its own is probably enough to win for Tsubaki.
Yeah, I think so as well. Wolfie looking to take down this Voloran because he doesn't want to get another HKS. So Feather Gatling is going to be going onto the Wolfie right about that 10% damage, but not nearly enough, I believe. Oh, he's splitting damage. Okay.
Yeah, splitting damage for the DV to hit Drakash. That really good special defense means Drakash survives for a little bit, and Yowler just hibernates it away. He freezes himself for a little while, but I mean, it's going to take as many turns as he stays frozen for Faiman to do that damage once more. And in that time, Wolfie will wreak havoc and Faiman will be out of stamina.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't see how much low Yowler had in stamina, because I was thinking Plague Savage Suplex the bird. That way you have no real damage onto the Wolfie. I thought that's what Tsubaki had in mind, but okay. Ends up working out though, because Yowler back up to 83%. So this is going to be big. However, a +4 speed HKS I thought would be a bit bigger, which is why I thought you had to clean up the bird while you could.
Oh, but it targets the Yowler instead of the Wolfie. Brings it back down to 54%, but I don't know. I mean, with that overexertion followed up by the Plague onto Drakash, there's no double damage this turn. It's looking so good for Tsubaki.
Yeah, looking very, very good, because Tsubaki just sit back and plague that left spot over and over. And you could just continue to plague the bird. You're not going to be able to outspeed it, as it is +5 speed all the way maxed out. But you are going to be able to do little by little. And then Yowler, whenever it comes back online, it should be able to close things out with the Savage Suplex. The question here, does 𝗂𝗍𝗄 at least get off one more attack? Or does Plague just bring it all the way down from that 33 percentile? If it gets one more, it could be a bit closer here.
I don't know. -5 is just so much. I know that Wolfie doesn't have anything that directly deals that damage, but it's still so much. The water cannon taking advantage of the synergy toxic ticks, just wanting to hurt Yowler as he can, and yeah, Wolfie just targeting down this 𝗂𝗍𝗄 as well. But now it's all up to this Volorend. HKS is available again, but that's going to be a pretty big overexertion. It would be enough to kill Yowler after this toxic tick.
And if it doesn't, come back will bring it all the way down. So maxed out speed at 30% and not even enough. GG.
Yeah, that was a very difficult situation for Faiman just because of all of the fire versus 𝗏𝗶𝗴. Somehow, some way that 𝗏𝗏𝗴 took none of the damage that you usually see 𝗏𝗏𝗴s take from fire types. Game away, thanks to coming from that upper bracket. And I mean, as you'd mentioned, this would be his first time winning one of your tournaments. This would be a fantastic achievement for Faiman, showing up in the most spectacular way against one of the best players in Temtem history in a monthly.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Faiman, we've all know how talented Faiman is. Just because you never win a tournament doesn't really discredit that, but still, a lot of great competition. And here today, as you said, in our monthly, a lot of great competition, and these two rising among the rest here in our grand finals. And Faiman, one more victory. Tsubaki-chan, 2 more victories. Can these guys keep it going? I mean, we're keeping it going. It's already almost 1 in the morning. 𝗏𝗧𝗺, where did the time go? Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, this has been going for 7 hours now. It's a lot longer than tournaments have been recently.
Yeah, only because every single game went to best of 3. Every game we spectated with blue in the earlier rounds, like before we took the break, it all went to round 3. So it was just goes to show you the intensity of the competition today. No one was an easy win and no one was an easy fight. So these guys going neck and neck till the bitter end. And this is exactly what we have here in the grand finals as well. Or we'll see if this goes to game 5. I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, if we make it all the way there, we might be another hour and a half. We'll just we'll stay up all night and have another tournament in the morning.
Yeah, let's go. And 𝗏𝗧𝗺, you know, I wanted to do when the update hits, we're gonna be doing morning tournaments. But 𝗏𝗧𝗺, I was thinking about hitting up some like EU commentators since they would probably be up. But hey, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, so I mean, the leads, we've got 𝗏𝗏𝗺, 𝗃𝗀, and 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Based on type advantage, I would say that's for Faiman, but based on 𝗏𝗏𝗃 advantage, I think that's Tsubaki.
Yeah, looks like Tsubaki one more time neglecting that scunch, or not neglecting it, showing it respect, so banning the scunch. And it looks like Faiman going with the same picks and bans one more time. I always want to see a 𝗃𝗀 ban against Tsubaki's team, but letting that Nagaz go is not something Faiman wants to do with that triple fire team. Nagaz has a Nagaz Fury available, so does decide to ban it. But as soon as you leave 𝗃𝗀 available, Tsubaki does go ahead and pick it up, starting with the exact same strat that worked for him in game number 2. Is this the same opener for Faiman? No, it was a scunch Raiken, right?
Yeah, it was scunch Raiken, which of course had that force swap into, I think, 𝗃𝗃, who took the initial beta burst.
Yeah.
I mean, the beta burst from Tsubaki's 𝗏𝗏𝗃 didn't do as much damage as a max special attack one would, so it definitely explains why it's so bulky. It is definitely lower on the offensive side. But when you have attacks like Tornado or Energy Manipulation, you don't need to have that really high special attack. The Tornado base damage is already so incredibly high, and Energy Manipulation is all about outspeeding your opponent, getting that stamina exhaustion, and forcing either swaps or overexertion damage.
Yeah, well said. So maybe a bit more of a supporty type of 𝗏𝗏𝗃, which is why we see neutrality as well. But yeah, it's looking good. Actually, wait a minute. No, yeah. For the side of Tsubaki, I was a little bit confused since we keep flipping back. But yeah, Tsubaki's 𝗏𝗏𝗃, definitely unconventional. And a bit more of a supporty, as I said, but still able to dish out the damage. You know, exactly as you said, that Tornado just base damage enough. So just treating it as we saw Tsubaki's Grumper from a previous tournament where it had little to zero special attack investment. I don't know if it's exactly 0 on this 𝗏𝗏𝗃, but it looks like a lot more investments in that defense and special defense department for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, Faiman, he still brings the triple fire. He's got 𝗵𝗺 instead of the Skunch, and Momo instead of, I think, Volarend, was it? So there are a couple of differences here for Faiman. He still has that hard fire core, which I think is pretty good into the majority of Tsubaki's team. It's really just going to come down to this 𝗏𝗏 again. He's got to find a way to take it down. I think Momo is definitely a good try. I think those undermines are going to be great, and if you're able to reduce the special attack, that's even better.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that part about undermine. You get 33% reduction on the special attack of the target you choose to throw the undermine on. So not only the damage, you got to think about the consequences of that damage afterwards. Well, let's get to it. Game number 3. I was a little bit confused, but yeah, game number 3 of our grand finals. As we keep saying, Faiman 1 win away, Tsubaki-chan 2 wins away from closing it out on this tournament. Let's see how these guys want to start off. No Skunch in order to throw a beta burst onto it. So yeah, 𝗵𝗺 v 𝗵𝗺 is just looking like neutral pressure, but Tsubaki's 𝗵𝗺 that much tankier with the +1/+1 from the Kinu here.
I definitely like Faiman leading with the 𝗵𝗺 instead of the Skunch, because now that means that there's more pressure onto both 𝗂𝗀𝗺 and Yowler. Neither of them have that safe swap in potential that they did have the previous game. 𝗏𝗏, of course, doesn't mind a 𝗵𝗺 nearly as much as it minds a Skunch, so that is a much safer swap. The 𝗬𝗵𝗄, though, does so much damage, all thanks to that air specialist hand fan, 43%. Followed up by the 𝗬𝗀𝗺 means 𝗏𝗏 is dead if it stays in for another turn. And that's an incredible start from Faiman.
Yeah, that is an incredible start. Exactly right, because now the 𝗏𝗏, if it wants to stay in and does Vortex to Riken, as you said, 𝗵𝗺 Tornado is 100% online and it's 100% able to outspeed this 𝗏𝗏 DV. And you know, looking at Tsubaki's back line, there's nothing that really wants to eat a Tornado. I guess Kinu, but Kinu takes it neutrally, so at least that's 30-40% coming out of Kinu's side. So we will see. Because it looks pretty good, and then Riken could just get a 𝗬𝗀𝗺. I think you just double that spot. Tornado, 𝗬𝗀𝗺. If the Kinu comes in, you eat it for lunch with that 𝗬𝗀 there too. If it dies, if the 𝗏𝗏 just stays in, eats the Tornado, then you get at least a good 𝗬𝗀𝗺 onto this 𝗵𝗺, which is a strange vest, so it won't do too much, but still, damage is damage. You gotta dish it out every single turn.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy double in for Faiman right now. He does risk taking a Tornado towards his Riken, which, I mean, we saw that previously. It is still some pretty good damage, but it's not enough to scare Riken away just yet, especially with no prideful buffs, nothing really to lose other than that sweatband user, especially considering there's still the neutral Momo with Synergy Master 𝗬𝗺 hanging out in the back could still definitely do a lot of damage without having to get any kills for the prideful to set up. So I think risking damage on Riken just to double into this spot, you know, force out, you know, potentially killing 𝗏𝗏, Yowler, or 𝗂𝗀𝗺, or Kinu. I mean, yeah, this is a really good turn of events for Faiman, just using this 𝗵𝗺 instead of the Skunch.
Yeah, maybe that was the key Temtem he needed this whole time, because I don't believe Faiman was utilizing his 𝗵𝗺 too much. Either that, or we might have to look back. Tsubaki might have been banning it, but now it is out here and ready to do a lot of work. As you said, does so much into the majority of Tsubaki's team. Yowler got carried away last match. 𝗵𝗺 would have tied that guy a bit more down. 𝗂𝗀𝗺 got carried away in game 1. 𝗵𝗺 heavy hitting 𝗬𝗵𝗄 and Tornado would have put it down a bit faster as well. So 𝗵𝗺 looking good, and Tsubaki without any crystal Temtems or anything that would do double damage into 𝗵𝗺. We'll see. But as you said, Tornado does fly out onto the Riken. Not too bad though.
Yeah, so followed up by that beta burst onto 𝗏𝗏. It's enough to bring it down on its own, which means anything Riken decides to do this turn, that Embers is going straight onto this 𝗵𝗺. It's not going to be very much damage. And thanks to that neutrality, the Ember's burn is not going to have any impact on the health. Although it's only 1/16 of the HP of a 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴, so that wouldn't be very much damage in the first place.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. That +1 defense plus the 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗴 doing so much. Maybe the new norm after this tournament, because 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴's looking like a god, making matters worse. The second 𝗬𝗎 buff making this 𝗵𝗶𝗴 even tankier. And you know, there's no Grumper or anything on Faiman's squad. Both 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗴s on both squads feel very, very strong. So we will see. It is neutrality, so you can't toxic it away with something like a fire 𝗂𝗀𝗇𝗏, but there's no even toxic Temtems to pair that up with, so you just gotta dish out the damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's Faiman's definitely in a good spot right now. I think, you know, Gul'dur is of course going to take a lot of hits to kill, but there's nobody really challenging this 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗏 for the rest of the game. This is Faiman's game to lose at this point. I think he had a fantastic lead, and he's really turned it around based on this previous game.
Yeah, it looks like making that adaptation with this 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗏 pickup, so we will see. I mean, 𝗬𝗎 could just stay in and try to do a simple beta burst, because 𝗬𝗏 did about 23%. If I remember from the first turn, did like 23%, and then a final beta burst will clean up the Raikkonen. Question is, if 𝗬𝗎 stays in, okay. 𝗬𝗎 doesn't stay in. Instead, it's going to be the big boy Gul'dur coming out to play. And Raikkonen saving it for down the road is going to be 𝗧𝗫𝗃. And bear with us, guys. 𝗧𝗫𝗃, maybe not first time in the finals, but first person in today's monthly bringing out 𝗧𝗫𝗃 and making it all the way to the finals. So well done for Faiman.
Yeah, I definitely like 𝗧𝗫𝗃 coming in for that turn. Faiman saying, you know, maybe if Tsubaki does double in, if he really wants this kill, 𝗧𝗫𝗃 has the best special defense of any Tems on this team other than 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗏, and really was the only one in that position to take the 2 beta bursts. And it also does get us 1 turn closer to Fire Tornado and means that Hellfire is available. And with no 𝗪𝗠, that means that 𝗂𝘀 could easily swap in, give it the synergy, and be guaranteed to hit both spots.
Yeah, well said. We will see. Of course, Tsubaki only bringing out this Gul'dur, thinking that Faiman has to either overexert this 𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗏 like a mad lad just to do some good damage, or either 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 has to retreat. But this is a neutrality 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 if I'm remembering correctly. But either way, it still retreats in front of a Gul'dur. Interesting enough. I was worried about this. Of course, you get the synergy, but does Tsubaki make the read for the toxic ink?
Faiman's 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 is air specialist as well, so it would have still taken quite a bit of damage if it had stayed in. It would have taken the toxic ink ticks. I think that this is okay, though. I think that, you know, now 𝗧𝗫𝗃 is used as Hellfire. This could even be a Momo swap in and attack onto 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 and just see what happens, because that spot is likely going to leave just due to that low stamina. And if by some miracle Tsubaki decides to leave 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 in, that would be so much damage that you know, Faiman could take it down the following turn with any attacks.
Yeah, we gotta see. So I agree with that. 𝗂𝘀 most likely going down whatsoever, so go down swinging, get that 3 prio online and gun down this 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏. Doesn't feel like a bad idea. But really good read for Tsubaki. It was intended all that damage for the 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏, but catching the 𝗂𝘀, making it that much better for Tsubaki. So well done. But we'll see what this second or the next turn has in store. So 𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗏 does retreat, and it will be the big boy Leal. So 2 tanks out on the side of Tsubaki's side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this 𝗬𝗎 swapping in for the Gul'dur, it's just going to beef up Leal a little bit, and you know, not really expecting these attacks to go towards Gul'dur means that 𝗬𝗎 is probably safe from the scary fire. But this does mean Hypnosis instead. It does go under the 𝗬𝗎. It's not going to do anything. Wouldn't have done anything either way, as Mental does not fall asleep and Leal has immunity.
Yeah, very interesting. It looks like he wanted to sleep the Gul'dur, so not a bad logic there. But Tsubaki has been doing this throughout this entire tournament. Always finds the perfect opportunity not only to bring Yowler, he never brings Yowler on its own. It's always coming in with the Kinu, so very good understanding of the speeds, very good understanding of the perfect opportunity to get a good buff off on Yowler. So one more time, well done for Tsubaki. And the Hypno kind of stung a little bit, but at least he's able to get off one more attack with this Fire Quish.
Yeah, Momo swapping in for the Drakash, a little bit surprising in my opinion. I think that was a decent opportunity to go for the Hellfire. Get one more synergy Hellfire off before it's too late, and then lose Koish and get a pretty free Barnshi swap in. The 𝗧𝗃𝗇𝗺 though onto this Yowler does do some good damage. Oshidashi targeting down this Momo. So yeah, I think Tsubaki realizes that before killing this Koish, there needs to be a few more Kinu swaps. Get this Yowler up to a point where it can survive and potentially, you know, fight back against this Barnshi and get some kind of kill. But I think realistically, this Barnshi on Faiman's side has enough to win this entire game. I really think Faiman is just not wanting to swap it into any potential damage. He wants to wait for one of his stems to fall before it comes back in. But Barnshi is pretty much the killer of everything remaining.
Yeah, we'll see how this turn plays out, but Koish, thinking he was going down 1 to 2 turns ago, surviving with that 9.4 HP, and he has the 3 prio technique. The stamina's still kicking, so one more attack able to come from this Koish. Where does he want to throw it? Because a Kinu, I smell a Kinu perhaps coming in. Where does Tsubaki want to throw it in? Does he keep the Yowler? Because something like an undermined 𝗧𝗃𝗇𝗺 definitely kills the Yowler. If he wants to read a Kinu swapping in for the Yowler, maybe you throw the barrage into the Golder and you get another 𝗧𝗃𝗇𝗺 the next turn. This is a tough turn.
Yeah, I mean, it might just end up being everybody's staying. Yeah, that's the end of Yowler as the Undermine brings him down to 9%, and it doesn't really matter what Koish wants to do now. It is the 𝗧𝗃𝗇𝗺 just to keep that priority, but that means Yowler is gone, and Gulder is now the last non-mental left alive, but it might just be a little bit too late. I mean, he's able to bring down this Koish with the Toxic Ink, but Momo's still here. Momo can bark this Barnshi, maybe even the Kinu, and just make it pretty easy work for Drakash.
Yeah, and now, Faiman's Barnshi even looking fairly good too. The mirror match is looking bad though because it's +2/+2 on this Barnshi, but Drakash coming out one more time. Barnshi coming in and really put a hurting on that Momo. It's at 55%. I think I agree with you, Rawrzyyy. You got to go for one of those 3 prio plays. Something like Bark, something like... No, I think Bark would be the best here. Unless you want to save it and swap into your own Barnshi.
I don't think that Faiman wants to take that damage on Barnshi. I think it may have been better to bring Raiken instead of Drakash, just to try and waste a little bit of Barnshi's stamina. But I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Drakash is still probably on the safer side here, and it's going to be able to do a lot of damage to Gulder as well. And it also would put Kinu in kill potential range if it wanted to swap in and buff up Barnshi to undo the bark.
Yeah, we could see it, but Momo not trying to deal with any of that beta burst. I was wondering about this just for the Hellfire synergy, and it will be 3 prios, so you do get the toxic ticks, or not toxic ticks, but the burn ticks onto the Golder, which add up to 12. So not too bad.
Yeah, so Faiman with a good idea, just swapping Raiken back in, keeping Momo alive from that beta burst, sacrificing the already injured Lion, bringing us down to a 3 versus 3, but with the HP advantage definitely on Faiman's side. And now with this Barnshi, this Goliath coming out to play, he definitely doesn't have the buff advantage compared to Tsubaki's +2/+2, but he does have the HP to make this happen. He can bring down this Gulder right now without risking too much damage from Barnshi. And then, I mean, probably Drakash is enough to finish this if Barnshi's not able to kill it this turn.
Yeah, we'll see. 𝗵𝗀𝗀 just has some good neutral techniques, but 𝗧𝗫𝗃 is higher in that special defense department. So that's the attacks that 𝗵𝗀𝗀 is going to be dishing out. So 𝗧𝗫𝗃 could be able to deal with it decently well. Tornado 55%. Oh, and does deal with it rather well.
I mean, he definitely does a lot of damage, but combined with this sandstorm, 𝗵𝗀𝗀 just barely holds on. 𝗧𝗫𝗃 doesn't fall down to the toxic tick, so he may be able to attack again. I think this 𝗵𝗀𝗀 is likely faster with the 𝗵𝗵𝗫, so 𝗧𝗫𝗃 just being a little bit too low HP is probably on its way out.
Yeah, I wonder if the sandstorm was a bit greedy. Maybe had to go for something a little bit bigger, but no, Faiman's 𝗵𝗀𝗀 outspeed, so not too shabby.
Yeah, and now 𝗧𝗫𝗃 with the fire tornado as well. He hits this Kiinu for so much damage, all the way down to 4%. That means it's a Goulder and a Kiinu, neither of which can fight this 𝗵𝗀𝗀. And Faiman is winning his first tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. That is set in stone. GG. I don't believe Tsubaki has enough. 𝗵𝗀𝗀 could just 𝗵𝗵𝗫 one more time, and Momo just has to sit there, click an offensive attack. But no, there goes the tornado. Might as well end it off in true fashion. And ladies and gents, our monthly tournament number 10 champion will be none other, winning his first tournament ever in our tournament series will be Faiman. Congratulations, 𝗶𝗶𝗺 closing things out. What an incredible matchup though.
Yeah, that was tooth and nail fighting to the very end, but Faiman with the triple fire, the victor of his first tournament, bringing it home for Team 𝗧𝗫𝗃.